Welcome head-to-head in their respective titles to show us the true talent we have to offer from this beautiful continent. My name is Proxy and I will be your host tonight, but don't worry, I'm not alone. Of course, joining me tonight is your wonderful casters, Patchy and Fire OG, to take you guys through all the action tonight as we see it. Of course, it's only going to be PUBG Mobile tonight, and speaking of what's happening tonight, let's take a look at that schedule just to remind you and see what you are in store for as it stands currently. Of course, for PUBG Mobile, we have the three maps that we all know and love. It's Erangel, Sanhok, and Miramar. Times obviously depending on how quick those games may go or how slow they may go, depending on how the players are feeling today. Because so far the first week, it's been pretty interesting. You never know what is waiting for you. But of course, let's take a look at that fantastic prize pool. The reason all of these players are here showing off their talents is, of course, because of the prize pool and for all the bragging rights, with the total prize pool being $17,500. FIFA 22's total prize pool will be $2,500. And for PUBG Mobile, tonight's segment, we have a total prize pool of $15,000, which will be awarded to the various teams at the end of the season. So, you know, they definitely want to be getting themselves up on that leaderboard and getting ready for the next phase, because relegation does come and go. Speaking about the leaderboard, let's take a look at the leaderboard as it stands currently before tonight's matches. We will only be revisiting this overall leaderboard once again at the end of the stream, so make sure you keep track of your teams if you want to see who is going to end up where. Patchy, if you would, please do take us through the leaderboard as it currently stands.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. If you guys missed the last week of Season 4, then you're certainly going to be missing out. I definitely recommend checking out those games. Absolutely nuts. As you can see on your screen, G3 Temper once again have started some things out this season with a bit of a bang. 105 points for them in position number 1, and certainly closing things out quite quickly off the back of just a couple of days' games. They've gotten themselves already past 100 points, and they are they're definitely a team to watch out for, I think. But speaking of teams to watch out for, as we move down that list, in position number 2, we've got KHK, who's managed to take second place so far with 81 points. We've got Team Somalia in third position with 63 points. We've got Influence Rage Africa in fourth position with 60. We've got the Sidemen in fifth with 55. Rila Insiders in sixth position with 53 points. We've got the Black Clover in seventh position with 50, and Slime 4KT in eighth with 48. Quite a stacked first page, if you ask me. All of those teams doing quite a lot of work in the past week. Of course, moving on to the second page, we've got the Magicians heading up the top of that in ninth position, 48 points for them, followed very closely by Seven Sins Art of Killings. Another of the two teams there, the Magicians and Seven Sins AOK, they have been doing some really good work there and showing us their mettle so far. Hopefully they can keep up that consistency. Of course, moving down the list, we've got Solar Esport in 11th position with 42 points. The Infinity AF in 12 with 33, as well as C Esport and the Natural Killers with 33 points apiece in 13 and 14 respectively. We've got Zero Tolerance Skills in position number 15 with 29, followed closely by Aphelion Apex with 28 points. 16th position. Also a pretty strong showing from these second page teams coming through all off the back of just a few days games. Of course, moving on to the third page, we will be seeing some teams that are, struggling to keep afloat, but still in the green so far. Of course, if you don't know, we are moving slowly through the rounds, and basically the way the season will work is, of course, we like to drop some of the teams at the end and sort of whittle down the pack. So you definitely want to be making sure you're putting in the points. In 17th position, we've got BBC with 28. We got the Black Crystal and Sincerity Esports with 23 points each in 18 and 19. Got EXO Redefined in 20 each, and of course Team Unique coming in 24 with 16 as well. Now moving on to the third page, this is the page that you do not want to stay on right now. Most of the teams that are going to be on this particular page do not want to be here for the foreseeable future. They want to try and put some points on the board as quickly as possible to make their way out of this spot here. We're going to start with number 25. Of course, it's Young Thunder with 14 points. In 26, we've got Fear with 12, Ultra 6 and Lag Esports in 27 and 28 with 10 points apiece. We've got Comfy 6 in 29 with 8, Rainbow 6 Madagascar with 6 points in 30, and of course ATROX in 31 with 5. So just to reiterate, you definitely do not want to stay on this page right now. So we've got some grinding to do for these teams. We're going to see if they can step up and maybe just put a few more points on the board for themselves. And of course, the way you do that, the way you put those points on the board is going to be to get those placements and to get those kills. First place going to give you 15 points. That chicken dinner being super valuable, followed, of course, by second and third place, giving you 12 points and 10 points, respectively. Of course, moving down, you're going to get a decreasing number of points all the way to 8th through 12th position, which is only going to award you 1 point. And then 13th to 16th placement position is going to give you 0 points. Of course, it's 1 kill, 1 point. And that is a huge, huge thing for the teams playing here, because in the previous week, we saw a lot of teams getting taken out in those 13th to 16th positions because there was a lot of lack of fighting in the beginning of games. And I actually saw some comments in the YouTube section and some of the streams where people were asking, why would you get early aggressive? Why would you try and give it away? It's very risky. And yes, absolutely, it's very risky. But what you'll see a lot of the time is if you don't telegraph some fights, if you don't force some fights, if you don't force your opponents to make mistakes and pick up on some kills and really capitalize on that, some problems can happen. And some of that problem is all of the chaos of the mid to late game where all 16 teams or 15 teams are still alive. Then you're going to see some heavy hitting teams slip up. You're going to see some teams that maybe shouldn't be going out super early. You'll see them going out in positions 13 to 16 and getting no points for themselves, which is a little bit of feels bad, man. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you stay consistent, you stay safe, you get those placements, and you get those kills.
I absolutely agree with that, Patchy. And I mean, talking about this fire, I'm going to ask you to take us through it because obviously, as we know, there's a lot of Inkosi teams that have made their way through into Umzansi, and they've been making some statements. KHK, one of the first teams you see on the leaderboard, on the overall leaderboard, sitting in second place.
Because they're so smart. They're always smart. Even the way they position themselves when they're in a fight, there's always one guy who is just behind, just watching how the fight is progressing. And if it's not going their way, he just gets out of that scene before you know it. And so it becomes very difficult for other teams to play. The only thing you can ask for teams to do is to go hunting against them and to make sure that you finish that team out totally. Because if you don't kill all of them, then they're definitely going to get, the maximum points that they can. And most of the time, he a player like Lewis is able to drag his team all the way to second or third. And that's always happening with them consistently. They're always getting into that top 5, grabbing those points. And that's how they do manage to stay on top.
Let's take a look at the teams that we're going to be witnessing tonight. Of course, we have Group B versus Group C, and here are the introductions as they stand currently. Fire, if you would, please take us through the teams.
All right, so we have several teams right here. We got Ultra 6, we got Slimefolk AT, who are the champions of last season. We got Rila Insider, one of the teams who came up all the way from Inconsi. We got the Comfy 6, we got Young Thunder, we got Fear, who is, sitting in a bad position in the leaderboard right now, but they're one of those teams, we talked about last week, who have the potential to go out and continue, fighting and, winning team on team, but they're just currently having a bad time. Hopefully we'll see better performance from them. We got Lag Esports, we got C Esports, who are one of those, quality teams in coming all the way from Inconsi as well. We hope to see much more from them, going into today's game. So it's a really tough lobby. I'm not sure I can call it right now who is going to take, the game amongst this 8 teams. Now, going into the next set, you have ATROX. ATROX is currently sitting at the bottom of the table right now. They're one of those teams who struggle to make it all the way from Inconsi, but hopefully they can, step it up a notch. 7 AOK out of Killing, also another team who was in the top 8 coming all the way from Inconsi. Aphelion Apex, one of those teams who have been with us throughout Umzansi since, for season on season. And you also got Influence Rage, a very strong team that, can play well any day. You got the Immortalz, you got Toxic Esports, Zero Tolerance, and Rain from Hell. So it's very hard to call, looking at this table, who is going to take it home at the end of the day. So I'm pretty interested to see how things, do pan out.
Thank you so much, Fire, for that introduction. So those are the teams that you should be looking out for today. As Fire mentioned, there's a few teams that have a little bit of practice potentially. I don't know. You'll have to go check out if you want to find more information about that. But speaking about tonight's game, Patchy, obviously the Inkosi teams have come in with an absolute statement and a half that they've got what it takes, to hit it with the big dogs. So is there any teams in particular out of the Group B and Group C teams that, are from Inkosi that you are looking out for tonight? Or do you think Umzansi teams are just going to roll over?
Well, I think I have to agree with Fire in the sense that it's a kind of a difficult one to call because there are such such good teams that we have in here, especially considering the fact that we have Slime 4KT in this lobby, which of course are previous seasons champions. So that's already just a really high standard for this group. B versus C, of course. But then we also have teams like C, Esports, Seven Sins, Art of Killing, who have been doing pretty well in so far in this season. And of course, coming out of Nkosi, they've been doing a pretty decent job. So, I mean, it's a question of rising stars versus, old dogs, I guess, which is kind of a difficult call at this stage. It's very early on in the season still. We're still trying to see where all the teams are falling. I mean, we had a look at that overall leaderboard, and teams like 4KT, C Esports, Seven Sense AOK, and even Influence Rage are sitting pretty high on that leaderboard right now. So I think we're going to be looking at most likely those four teams probably tussling it out here today on the maps. And I'm very interested to see, because one of the most interesting things of this season so far,
First map of the day, so you definitely want to be making sure that you're taking your seats as these guys are jumping out of theirs. I'm going to give it over to our casters Patchy and Fire to take you through all the action.
I think PUBG in general, of course, those teams going to be jumping down onto the map right now. We've got a nice north to south flight path going all the way down below Primorsk. So there is some potential to jump on that military island if the teams wanted to do so, although I don't recall any teams in this group being particularly interested in that. We'll see if they do. For the time being, the teams will just be heading down on to the ground to get that looting going. And Fire, I'm going to turn the question on you today, the same one that was asked to me. Do you think we're going to be seeing some of those Nkosi teams stepping it up, maybe Seven Sins AOK or C Esports, or are we going to be seeing 4KT showing some dominance from previous season and then doing a little bit of replication here? All right, I'm just gonna keep going here. We've got our zone dropped right here on the map, all the way towards the western side of that. So a little bit of the eastern portion going to be erased from the playable area, although the teams still have plenty of time to make their way around that map. Time to get themselves looted up and ready to go. I do see that we have at least one, maybe even two teams down towards that military island, which makes me a quite happy fear going for some of those patchy points. That's some big patchy points right there. Of course, Young Thunder seeming to be the other team hovering about that area, taking precedence over that western bridge. So maybe we'll see a little bit of contention there later on when the teams do decide to cross to try and get into that safe area. But for now, we're just going to have a look and see how those teams do decide to get themselves looted up. I also see a couple of teams down towards, up towards George, should I say, North and South George, looking nice and crowded, but actually a pretty decent spread otherwise. Nobody in direct contention just yet. So maybe action picks up rather quickly, and that we don't have, we don't have an unfortunate situation, because just going back to my conversation when I was talking earlier about some early pickings, early fights, trying to force early mistakes from your enemies is really, really important. Is teams trip up when there's so much to worry about. When you have to worry about 15 other teams right on the map in the same spot, sitting in such a small location nearby, it becomes very, very difficult to control the situation and control the elements. So
Yeah,
you really
true.
want to take away as many of those rogue elements as possible.
Yeah, true. Now, going back to the previous question that you asked me, Pachi, on the teams, Slime 4KT, if they will bring in that dominance that they're known for, you know, um, so yeah, we've seen them on some point in the group stages that didn't look like they were going to perform. They managed to qualify at the end of the day and grab that been together for a really long time. So yeah, they can always pull off a win. 7 AOK, they're a really aggressive team, and they can literally play spoiler for any team around. Another team is the Young Thunder, and so yeah, I mean, you don't know who's going to take it at the end of the day, but it's for me right now. Looking at the lobby, you do expect the previous champions to do well.
Yeah, absolutely. You do expect at least a little bit of performance coming out of the previous season champions, and as expected, they are performing pretty well. Still up on that first page, doing a pretty decent job, and maybe we'll see them continue a little bit of that here today. Map number one, we still have not seen a team get wiped just yet. So all of the teams still on the board. No serious engagements happening just yet. May have been a couple of pot shots here and there, but ultimately nothing too serious, no serious pushes or aggression coming out of anyone just yet. Now, of course, that blue zone is moving in. It's just slowly going to be pushing up and just encouraging those teams to get a little bit closer, get in towards that zone. I could see oh, there we go. Rusty putting a few shots in towards Trip. So we've got some fighting here all the way on the western side of the map. Finally, a little bit of eliminations coming through, although it's not going to be a full aggression just yet. I think Inside is moving up from the south. There's still a decent ways off from Aphelion Apex, so I think that may have just been an out of rotation player getting caught out there. That's a bit unfortunate. You're going to be down a player. Actually, I do see some concentration of teams in between Gutka and Pachinki, so maybe we'll see some battles happening in that location as well.
Yeah, definitely. We might see some battle coming in, and it already is beginning to happen with the Young Thunder versus the guys from Black, and they're already getting into a fight. It did look like that team was trying to move into that center. Maybe they may just be heading out and trying to look for another spot to stay in. They were trying to head towards that central position because, you know, a lot of these teams right now are looking to get good spots within that zone and, you know, just you know, be in a good position when the next circle comes in, and that's exactly what happens then. But sometimes that's really dangerous. They came into you know the same territory where Fenny and his boys were, and yeah, they take them down.
Yeah, now we'll just have to wait and see what is going to be happening. Got Safwan off in the distance, taking residence in that particular building just across from the compound here. And we will see if the team there from, is this the Comfy 6? I think it is the Comfy 6 here in this compound. So we'll see if they can make it happen. As we mentioned earlier on before this game began, Comfy 6 doing a little bit of struggling towards the bottom there. And I do believe they are on the last page at the moment. So they've got a lot of work to do. Got a few points to put on that board and just, add some check markers to their book, get some heads, get some kills, and hopefully move themselves out of that last page, because you definitely don't want to be there, especially as the season starts to move on week after week. You don't want to stay there. And, just give your position down there to somebody else, get some points, move on up. For the time being, we are going to be seeing the teams slowly rolling in to that zone. You can see Rain from Hell taking the long way around, making sure they're not going to be meeting anyone head to head. There's no one really in that area, so they're fine, they're good. No problem for them, and that seems to be the case most of the places on the map, except down towards the south. You can see 7 AOK moving up on Lag, and the Young Thundercats moving up as well. Fear in the mix, so the south could potentially be a spot where we see some more fights breaking out, and certainly I hope we see some eliminations within the next zone or two, because like I've been saying, if we see too many teams moving into that mid to late game, it is going to be very, very difficult. And I think the teams that will thrive in a situation like that might just be the more experienced teams. We might see 7 AOK and 4KT be amongst those who do tend to thrive in those pressurized situations.
Yeah, just taking a look at the zone right now, moving towards that, you know, northeastern region, just around Georgia Pole, where Foketi is in. They obviously are going to have like a good spot within that zone. They don't need to rotate anymore. They're pretty close to the guys from INF. They're also close to zero tolerance. So a lot of teams now beginning to make this rotation. There are a lot of builders around Gatka, so we may. I mean, if the rotations do go well, we may not see a lot of action coming into the next zone because there are a lot of buildings for them to work with, except they do decide to make that push. And you know what's really important for these teams at this particular point of the season is trying to, you know, get as much points as they can. So we, you know, I'm you know, predicting a late one right here, but we also are seeing the guys from Comfy 6 already getting into a fight right there. They do take down a player. They look like they took down one of the players from 7 AOK. Let's see if they make a full push onto that one. But INF really close to 4KT. It does look like Zeus is just trying as much as possible to just rotate, figure things out right here, and they do take down one player. It's Zeus 4KT who is down. They're down to just Fex and Storm. Oh no, it's actually Fex and Ama. Down to just Fex and Ama, and let's see how they do take this one. They have taken down Zeus from 4KT. And 4KT is now down to just 2 players. They got the full team from INF just right on top of them. How do you think they're going to play this? Just hold back and go out, but Fex, he's not holding back. He takes Potato down. And this looks like they're going to be making that push. Amar is probably going to come in and try to support Fex. If Fex is able to take down Mercury, then it opens up the game entirely. Oh! He's able to take down... please, help me pronounce this name. Okay? You did it last time. Help me out. All right, so it takes us... it's now a 2v2. This is what we see from 4KT a lot of times. You know, when it does look like they have their back against the wall, they still find a way to fight. And Fex is putting in the work right there. He does reduce Mercury's HP, but he is low as well. He needs to make sure that he does get that rest. And Amar coming to provide that support against Hansley. They do take down Hansley as well. And just after they come in, Potato's been able to get his HP back up. Fex needs to do the same thing. They're about to throw in that nade, and oh my goodness, this is about to go wild for them. They're about to wipe away this team, but Amar goes down and he is lobbied. It's all down to Fex, and he's able to finish it off, take out the team. But oh my goodness, oof. At some point in time, Patchy, it looked like they were going to lose it.
I mean,
at the end of the day, they came out on top.
Can I just highlight how impactful of a fight that just was, right? It just seems like one team versus one team, but that was actually possibly the biggest, most impactful fight that could have happened in this entire game right now. We just saw 4KT and Influence Rage going head-to-head. Both of those teams are doing really, really well on the leaderboard right now, which means those are two heavy-hitting teams that are in this lobby who both fought each other as the first major fight of game number 1, and both of them almost completely wiped each other out. There's only one 4KT member remaining, which means both of those huge, heavy-hitting, impactful teams in this group have been basically neutralized. Influence Rage has. They've been taken out. And of course, 4KT has been reduced to 1 member. So every single other team in this lobby is breathing a sigh of relief. They just, so much weight has been lifted off their shoulders right now because some seriously heavy-hitting teams have been taken away. There's a lot of free space. There's freedom to move. Hopefully, they know exactly what to do with that. Of course, 7 AOK now moving up, going in for the kill here on it towards the team there from the Comfy 6 under a little bit of pressure. They've got this compound, but can they defend it? Probably not at the moment. It looks like they're struggling a little bit. Fenny under so much pressure, so many players right next to them, and the only support they've got is from the true teammate right up there on the hill. The smokes are getting popped, of course. The 7 AOK is looking to see how they can dissect this attack right now. Some flying shot through the smoke, and 7 AOK just easily pushing players back one by one. They've got all the time in the world, but it's Fear right behind them with that third party just swooping down in for the kill, taking exactly the opportunities that have been presented to themselves. And 7 AOK find themselves absolutely toppled. Kavira is down. Mistress and Skull now all the way to the top. Have to find a way out of this situation as Outcast and the rest of Fear have moved up and taken control of this situation. A very bold move and a smart one as well. Kavira goes down. Now 7 AOK, they've been left on the back foot. The prey that they were looking to take down has all but fled, run away, and now they're contending with a team that has taken up residence right into the building opposite them. Kavira going to get thirsted as well. Outcast trying to toss some nades there to just slam dunk the last few 7 AOK members, and what started out as a 7 AOK battle has now turned the tides and left them reeling.
And, you know, this is one of the things that you usually see from the guys from Fear. You know, they're not afraid to make those, you know, push into teams. They're not afraid to get those third parties. They're not afraid to get those fights. They're always making plays like this. And sometimes it's really dangerous for them. And, you know, you see them, you know, get a couple of kills and get a couple of points. And sometimes it's just exactly what they need. And that's what they need right now. They needed to make those bold moves. They needed to get into the zone, make that push, while other teams are fighting and get the kills, and they've done that right here.
Yeah, so it's good to see some fighting happening. As you can see on the map, the north and the south looking nice and crowded, which means we are going to get more fights, especially up here in the north, which is quite crowded. We've even got a drop coming in there on top of that as well. So one of these teams might just be gifted some level 3 goodies, which is certainly going to help them out. Aphelion Apex looking in a pretty decent position to take that at the moment. Got 7 cents off towards the side there as well. So hopefully we see some fights breaking out there. Neon getting taken down. There's Zero Tolerance going in from on top of Rain from Hell. Some shots flying in that particular direction. You could see Zero Tolerance right across the way. There's some good distance between the teams, but they're at least taking some pot shots. The intent to kill is there, which is good to see. We've only shaven 2 teams of the roster. I think we've only dropped 2 teams so far, which is a pretty decent number. Hopefully we see a couple of more. Zero Tolerance moving in a little bit closer. Maybe it's their intention to attack. Maybe it's their intention to come in for the flank with a 2-2 split. Potentially, maybe it's just a rotate away. I'd have loved to see the flank, the 2-2 split, but it just seems like they're rotating across. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, that's actually just gonna get out of that position, try to move away, and get a better one. But just right off the corner, you have the guys from Aphelion Apex. Right, they're also looking to make a similar rotation. They're all trying to get into that zone, as you can see that shift really close to Godcar. And no, Fex for KT is still in that zone. If he can get his team all the way into top 5, that would definitely mean a lot for his team. But you can see Aphelion Apex already finding a spot within that zone. 7 AOK already in it as well. You got the guys from ATROX who do need a lot of points right there, sitting just south of that guard car. You got the guys from Young Thundercats already in there as well. And as you expect, you got Rila already sitting towards that south of the zone, of the new zone. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to be. You got the Immortalz pushing up really close into the position where the guys from ATROX are, and it looks like some action is already beginning to go down as Dead does take down MFP.
Yeah, and the fights that are breaking out right now is basically just free reign for anyone who wants to take the fight, for anyone who wants to go in for the kill. At the moment, it looks like Ultra 6 are ready to try something out for themselves. 7AOK moving in as well. Everyone has just free reign. And I have to remind you, this is all off the back of the fact that both 4KT and Influence Rage have eliminated one another. Now, of course, Ultra 6 moving up to try and make something happen, but they are getting hammered from all sides, and it is just not going to work out for them at all. Really, Inside is pushing straight over the hill here to do the eliminations. They are landing those shots. Absolutely no mercy given to Ultra 6 whatsoever. Nuke all the way on the back end. Mojo and Lynx not in a good position, and this might just be the end of them. Of course, those third parties are being looked for, though. Mortal looking for those DP long-range engagements. Mojo going to get taken down by Brony Wizard, putting the hits. He's actually going to fall down to his doom. Man, oh man, you can see the shots just absolutely flying at the moment as the cover is running out on the western side of the map here. Fields and hay bales is all they have got. Maybe some vehicles if they've driven in that particular direction. But these teams are seriously under pressure, under assault right now, and it's just free reign. The big dogs have been eliminated out of this match early on. It's just free for all.
Yeah, exactly. You can see right here what it means, to have like a lot of teams within a small zone. There will be fights from every single corner. Third party coming in. As you can see, the guys from Lag just coming into that fight between Insider and the guys from Ultra 6. And the Ultra 6 guys, if I do recall, they're just left with one player. And Rila is, doing a lot of work right here as they do take down a couple of guys from Lag. They've got 0 and 19 who are down. Right now, I do believe they just have one player up. So although we still have a lot of teams, we still have about 11 teams left, who are now outside the zone. We do have a lot of teams who have been really hard. So I won't be shocked if getting into that new zone, we have only about 6 or 7 teams left.
Yeah, and of course, with that elimination down in the south, as you can see, as we just spotted on the map, teams are running low. We're in our top 10 teams at the moment. Aphelion Apex right up here on this mountain. Fex, despite being down, all these players has still taken up residence on the top of that mountain. He's looking confident with his sniper rifle. I think he was touting over there. I couldn't see. It was just a little bit too quick, but of course, off in the distance, it looks like we have the likes of the Young Thundercats looking to see if they can take up a little bit of that space. 4KT is still in this game. Fex, of course, just keeping the hopes and dreams alive. And I mean, with a team like 4KT, you cannot count them out down to the last player. So you can still keep an eye on Fex there. Some nice shots coming through, some snipes across the map as well. Rao looking for a couple of engagements on towards Young Thunder. trying to just tout back and forth. Luckily, they are playing within the zone. Cold going to get taken down by Hate as Zero Tolerance engages there on Aphelion Apex. Rao still looking for some long-range engagements there towards Young Thunder, but not going to push up. Knows that he doesn't have to at the moment. Superior goes down as Zeke puts the hits in, and Cold going to get exploded as Aphelion Apex continue the assault in that particular direction. We see some nice shots coming through. Zero Tolerance holding up, trying to do a little bit of gatekeeping as the teams roll on into the zone to try and keep themselves alive with 5 zones deep at the moment. You definitely don't want to get caught out in the blue. Zero Tolerance, quite a number of players still left on their team. A nice snipe coming in from Rao. Brinny going to go down as Outcast also hits the deck and gets thirsted immediately. You can see these teams are definitely being strung up on the ropes at the moment. Hulk instantly going to get just devoured by all these teams that are sitting right here in this field. You can see the team there from ATROX right up here with the Young Thundercats, pushing them, seeing if they can root them out of this particular spot.
Someone needs to take that sniper away from Ro, because I don't know how he's doing it, but he's just taking out team on team and just getting those headshots every single time he tries. He's just being absolutely wild. So they're one of the teams that, they're very dangerous, but it does look like Snake Eyes is able to get one defeat onto one of their players right there. So they're probably down to one or two players left. But Fex is still in this, and this is what we see about 4KT a lot of times. We got eight teams. He's managed to drag his team all the way. They got a couple of kills, and he's still in here. He's got the zone, he's got the space. So if he's able to get into that top 5, definitely a lot of points for his team. And climbing up that leaderboard in what is supposed to be a bad game.
Yeah, I'm gonna be just totally honest with you. With the experience that Fex and the likes of 4KT in general have, I would not be surprised if this guy was just managed to snake his way up into like top 3 and then get some cheeky shots into one of the players and then go for a 1v1 and actually just get the chicken dinner. I've seen it before. I don't think it was 4KT. Some seasons ago it's happened. So it has happened before. It is possible. And I wouldn't be surprised, especially with the likes of Fex. So we'll keep him in our minds, in the back of our minds. We'll keep an eye on him as the players continue to happen. Of course, as you can see on your screen, we have the Rila Insiders up towards the top of that zone there. We've got Ultra 6 off towards the right-hand side. You can see Nukes on that side. You have the Young Thundercats all the way on the opposite side, as well as ATROX, who is under a little bit of fire there. Soho going to get taken down there. Zero Tolerance taking up residence in what looks like the only house available inside the zone at the moment, and they are just using it to tear through teams in the surrounding area. They've got some nice cover, and they are utilizing it, which is absolutely brilliant as the team start to roll in. You can see them streaming all in and just getting absolutely hammered, punished for their rotations. No cover. They just have to try and run as quick as possible. Fex going to get taken out by Rusty, barely winning the fight on some very low HP, but he will win that out. Kage getting pushed, and he will get taken down as well. Snake Eyes making that happen. Nails into the coffin. 7 teams remaining, 16 players left, and things are slowly starting to even out at the moment. The chaos subsiding as the teams are brought down bit by bit, and things are starting to slow and the teams are starting to get their positions. But certainly the fights will have to continue as that zone gets smaller, because only one team can take that chicken, and we are all running out of space as that zone gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, if there's any team that does need to get this win, it is definitely the guys from ATROX, sitting at the bottom of the entire table right now. They got to be careful. They got to play the game right. They've got a couple of kills. All they got to do is to get into that top 3, or even if it's just top 5, to get themselves out of that dangerous position where they are, at least from all the way down to the 3rd page. If they can do that, then they give themselves a good opportunity to get out of that relegation spot. But Ro has been looking like a player who has been on total fire, and definitely Insiders are one of the favorite teams right now to win, even without a complete team. You also got the guys from Zero Tolerance who are sitting in those buildings right there. If those buildings do remain in the zone, they might just be able to sneak this one away. They give themselves a really good opportunity, but let's see how it goes. We've got a couple of teams all trying to find their way. The zone's about to change. It's about to close in right now, and let's see what team remains in that zone and who has the potential to close out this game.
Yeah, right now, I mean, we are looking at exactly the situation that I was describing before we went into this match. I was talking about Seven Sins, and we was talking about 4KT, but those teams have been taken out. Those teams are gone. We're not looking at any of them. And so, as I said, maybe we see someone, just step it up and take the chicken dinners here, and that's exactly what we're seeing. 7 teams remaining at the moment. We've got ATROX, we've got the Rila Insiders, the Ultra 6 still alive there with nukes on the one side, Immortal trying to take some pot shots there, and of course representing Zero Tolerance skills here in this position, and maybe Zero Tolerance looking like the favorite or the favored team at the moment. They've got plenty of players left, all of their players actually, and of course they have that building, which is huge advantage for them as these fights continue.
Okay, so the guys from Aatrox are really just putting in a lot of damage to teams around them. They've managed to take out the last guy from Aphelion Apex, and they've been putting in a lot of work right there. But you can see the guys from, you see vibes from Zero Tolerance. Now they've come into the zone. Now they've left the spots. They've left the house and just trying to put in the work onto several different teams around them. Vibes just popping up shots onto the guys from Insiders as well as other teams. And it is pretty much about that time where you begin to see these teams make their move. I love the separation that they're doing right now. They've got a couple of teams just still, a couple of players still sitting out there in those buildings. Why Vibes did make that move into that zone, and it's probably the right move. He's sending out some shots onto the guys from YT, popping out shots onto the guys from Insiders, and they're definitely looking like one of those teams who want to close out this game. They know they got that opportunity right now, and it's all about them making that move. Wizard can look to play like a spoiler in this particular game, as they don't know the position where he's in right now. He could possibly take out Hate or Vortex, and that may change out the entire game as it is progressing, but they do look like they're about to close things down.
Yeah, they certainly are. At the moment, Zero Tolerance is in full control. They've got the players, they've got the momentum in their favor, and now they're just going straight into the map and looking for those last straggling players. Up they come, Hate and Vibes doing the search, doing their due diligence. They're going to catch nukes all the way out here. If they just push up a little bit, here comes that Uzi, and it just tears through the competition. Nuke goes down, Wizard still trying to snake it out on the other side, but he is not long for this world. He gets immediately spotted out, taken out, and the match is ended with Zero Tolerance skills coming out with that chicken dinner and a very nice amount of kills straight into their pockets. And I mean, that was all just off the back of the fact that we saw 2 heavy-hitting teams just getting eliminated. I mean, you can see 7AOK and 4KT getting taken out in 8 and 9 there. And that just allowed all of these other teams to go absolutely ham, and Zero Tolerance really stepping it up and doing pretty well on map number 1.
Yeah, definitely. The guys from INF also getting taken out quite early by 4KT definitely changed things around. And 4KT losing a couple of players right there early on as well, just changed the whole dynamics of the entire game, giving teams like Zero Tolerance, Rila, the opportunity to stamp their foot on the game. But Wizard did do something that we probably expected to see from Fex, dragging his team all the way into that second spot. He was the only player, and I'm sure they will be glad that they got those placement points at the end of the day.
I think you couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what I was going to say. I thought it was going to be Fex there, ratting it out, snaking it out in the grass, trying to just get the points for the team towards the end there. But as Patchy mentioned, 7OK and 4KT getting taken out quite early on. They're obviously dropping players in the beginning. It wasn't a match made in heaven, unfortunately, for our previous season winners. So Slime 4KT will have to wait till Sanhok to potentially redeem themselves and get those points, which, I mean, at this point in time, we all know these teams are very capable of doing so. But absolutely congratulations to Zero Tolerance coming through there and getting the winner chicken dinner. Of course, we're waiting to see what that leaderboard is looking like and those MVPs. And I think there was quite a few teams there that were just gunning in and looking for those third parties. Batchy, what are your thoughts so far based on the first match, Group B versus Group C? Who are you thinking so far?
Well, it's very interesting because, as I mentioned earlier before we began the match, I was really looking to see if 4KT was going to step it up, if 7AOK was going to step it up, because they're standing at the top at the moment. And I think the moral of the story so far is that you don't want those teams to fight very early on, especially with one another. Teams like Influence Rage and 4KT and 7AOK kind of don't want to fight with each other early, because if they take one another out, they leave a huge power gap on the rest of the map. The rest of the teams go absolutely nuts. Somebody else will step up, and of course, Zero Tolerance is exactly the team that did that there in map number 1. With Sanhok, however, we've got a little bit of a different issue pressing on the rest of the teams, which is, of course, the fact that you're going to be taking fights a little bit more consistently, or you're going to have to deal with the pressure a little bit more consistently. So we might actually see a repeat of map number 1. Otherwise, if the teams have maybe, been shaken awake by map number 1, maybe a little bit of a zap just to remind them, hey, you got to wake up, you got to get both of your thumbs on that screen, and you got to get playing. then maybe we'll see a little bit of a different outcome. But for the time being, it's exactly like I said. We're waiting to see if it's going to be our it's just sort of random, like, is the team going to step up and just surprise us, or is it going to be the old dogs? Is it going to be the teams that we sort of expect to make it happen? So far it has been the surprising teams that have been doing the work, but maybe we'll see it. We still got 2 maps left.
That we do, but let's take a look at the standings from the first map of today. Of course, Zero Tolerance leading the pack there with 28 points. Fire, if you would please take us through these standings.
Yeah, definitely. The guys from Zero Tolerance leading that pack right there. They got themselves 15 points, obviously, coming in first place, and 13 kills, getting the whole of a total point of 28. You got Esport coming in right there with just 4 kills, but getting dragged right there with Wizard, getting 12 placement points right there, sitting in second. Rila Insider getting a whole bunch of kills. We saw them go absolutely wild. We saw Ro with that K98 and the rest of the team just popping out shots to several different people. Also sitting in third place right there. And Ultra 6 getting themselves, they didn't have a lot of kills, but they got themselves into a good position right there in third place and getting 10 placement points. You got the YT also with 8 points. With eight placement points and total of 10 points. You got ATROX, who did need a lot of points coming into this game, but they managed to get 9, so hopefully they do progress and get a lot more. You got 4KT with 8 points, getting 7 kills right there. You got 7 AOK with 5. All right, so in second page, you do see the guys from Aphelion Apex getting 4 points. Totally, you have the Lag Esports with 4 points. You have Fear, one of those teams who, we do expect to see much more, especially since they were one of those teams who were in the Umzansi last season. And you got Ring from Hell with 2 points. Influence Rage, not doing it as well as we do expect to see from them, but coming into that early fight with 4KT, they didn't just manage only 2 kill points from that game. Comfy 6 sitting in a bad position and still getting only 1 point. You got the Immortalz going out of the game quite early with no points at all.
I mean, Ultra 6 proving that placement points really do make an impact there. They literally got not a single kill, but they moved themselves up that leaderboard exactly how they needed to. And here is your MVP for the first map of today. It's, of course, Zeke coming through from Rila Insiders with 7 kills, a total damage dealt of 1,347, and a total survival time there of 23 minutes and 57 seconds. Really just putting his best foot forward there for the team. And of course, Rila Insider, actually one of the other teams that came through from Incorsi. So once again, I'm happy that, this pattern that Incorsi teams are keeping up with the Umzansi teams is staying consistent. It does show that there is a lot of talent here within Africa, and of course there's still a lot of talent that needs to be discovered, which hey, if you've got some talent that needs to be discovered, make sure you go and register for the next season of Incorsi, which will be starting shortly. Of course, more information on that you can find on the Northern Gaming Africa website. Quick plug there. I know my social media manager will be very happy with me, but for the time being, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to move on to Sanhok and see where the teams and where the rest of the teams might be pushing themselves up on that leaderboard. So stay with us, get your popcorn, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Umzansi Season 4, brought to you proudly by Nodwin Gaming Africa. So first game of the day, done and dusted, and it's been an interesting one. We can take a look at those standings once again, just to remind you about what happened and where some of your favorite teams may or may not have ended up. Of course, Group B and Group C are going head-to-head, and they've done so successfully on Erangel. Patchy, if you would, please take us through those standings.
Yeah, just a quick reminder of our standings from game number 1. It is, of course, Zero Tolerance coming in position number 1 with 28 points there. Very nice performance coming off the back of that one. C Esports in second position, as well as Rila Insider there in third with 16 points apiece. Of course, Ultra 6 coming in fourth place with 10, and Young Thunder with 10 as well in fifth position. ATROX are getting themselves 9 points in sixth place. 4KT in seventh position with 8 points, and 7 since AOK in 8th position with 5 points. So you could see that disparity of the points just really absolutely one-sided. Position number 1 taking so many points, and that first to 6th spot just taking all of the points away from the rest of that game. Of course, moving on to the second page of these standings, Aphelion Apex in position number 9 with 4 points. Lag Esports with 4 points as well in 10. Fear in 11th position with 3 points. We've got Rain from Hell and Influence Rage Africa with 2 points each with in 12th and 13th position. We've got Comfy 6 in 14 with 1 point. And then Immortalz and Toxic coming away with no points in 15 and 16 to fill up the last places on that scoreboard. So yeah, just some very interesting things happening in map number 1. I mean, Influence Rage getting taken out. We've got 7 since AOK getting taken out, 4KT getting taken out. They were just not able to swing their weight around in that map at all. So I guess the question becomes, now that we're moving on to Sanhok, are we going to be able to see them swing their weight around again, or are they going to get eliminated early and open up that void once again for another team to step in?
That is the question. And I mean, Fi, I'm going to ask you a few questions just to, give a little bit more insight to some of our viewers who may be tuning in from Jinx, might not be as familiar with PUBG Mobile as they might want to be. So please tell us the difference between Erangel and Sanhok. Obviously, we know the main thing is obviously Sanhok, is a 4x4 block map, whereas Erangel, which we've just seen now, is an 8x8. So already half the size. But what are some of the other differences that you mainly see? Why does that size difference make a difference?
Aside from the size difference, which obviously does, make a difference, and a lot of teams are really choked up. There's a lot because of the terrain and the way it is. There's a lot of third parties when it comes to fights. You don't want to linger on a fight for too long. If not, another team hears that, and they're definitely going to push up onto that location. The way the map does feel, you get a lot of action coming in from the teams. There's not a lot of driving and crashing into buildings like you see in other maps, but whereas a lot of teams are going on their foot and just running into spaces. So you do see a lot of teams, while they're trying to rotate into the zone, getting shot at, because they're on the foot. They're just trying to make their way into the circle, late or whatnot. And, there's some kind of situations where the map does actually go all the way, towards regions that are surrounded by water, where teams are trying to swing in, either through the bridge or trying to cross all the way down to Hatinga. And, you just find people getting taken out, while trying to rotate in. So it's a really scary map if you don't find yourself in the zone quite late, and what you want to do is land in places where you do give yourself a lot of chances, like Anan, like boot camp, being around that center spot so you can rotate towards, any region in the event that, you're not in the zone. So yeah, we'll see how this one plays out for the teams.
Obviously, Patchy, some teams made a few mistakes on Erangel and didn't find themselves in the spots they would have wanted to be. Any advice for some of those teams who maybe faltered there towards the end?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was an interesting map, number 1. Certainly not the exact same way that we usually see, a little bit of a tough zone as well. Moving into Sanhok, I think maybe one of the things that the teams should be looking out for is to pick their fights carefully. If you're not so sure about whether there's a team there, maybe do a little bit more reconnaissance, because it seemed like that early fighting that we saw coming out of the likes of Influence Rage and 4KT didn't really go the way they wanted. And I think a lot of that had to do with the positioning. The teams were fighting in a very awkward spot over the top of that mountain. The cover isn't very good. And despite the fact that we saw 4KT pulling off some very, very good looking moves, and I was actually going to make a comment on that while the fight was going on, you could see the movement is just really, really clean with 4KT. Of course, they were already down with 3 players. They're not playing with their full squad at the moment, so they're already on a little bit of a back foot, and they still came up on top of that one. I think they need to be a little bit more cautious. I think 4KT has a lot of confidence just based off the fact that they're a really, really good team, and I think that's good. I just think that maybe while they're playing with a down squad, on only 3 players, I think maybe play a little bit back, play a little bit safer, do a little bit more to keep themselves in the game longer. Don't get taken up super early. Maybe don't pick the spots that they usually go to, when they have a full team and say, oh, we can just go here, throw our weight around a little bit, maybe choose a little bit more of a cautious route for them. And for the rest of the teams, I think they actually need to step it up, because what we saw from them once the teams like 4KT, 7AOK, Influence Rage were gone, we actually did see them stepping up and getting a little bit more aggressive and doing a lot more. I think I want to see that coming out more from them earlier on, despite those teams being alive. So I actually want to see them get a little bit more active, and I think that will balance things out a little bit and make it a bit easier for some teams to get some points, because from that previous match, it was just one-sided. Like the top 5 teams just got all the points and everyone else got the scraps. So yeah, I think that's what needs to happen.
You make it sound so bad, but that's basically what happened. Yes, we had a huge disparity in terms of points that we saw there on Erangel. And I mean, we generally see that trend getting a little bit more tapered as we move on to Sanhok, where, the kills normally would be a little bit more distributed, because teams have more accessibility to the other fights that are going around them, because those distances are so much shorter than what they would be on say in Erangel or a Miramar, which is the largest map that we have in this pool currently. So it's sort of like you're going from medium to small back to large. So we also throw the players into a little bit of a rut, because they immediately have to change their style, they have to adapt to the map, they have to adapt to the terrain, change up the rotation paths and things like that, which makes for a more interesting series, obviously, and it forces the teams to think a little bit more about how they are approaching these situations. So for those of you who aren't familiar with PUBG Mobile, hopefully you've learned a few tidbits here from our casters. And of course, if you want more information, go check out that Not in Gaming Africa website. I'm going to keep plugging it, so I'm so sorry. But for the time being, we're going to be heading on to Sanhok. The plane is loaded. The players are getting ready to jump out of their seats, and it's going to be an absolutely beautiful, beautiful map. So it's at this time that I give it over to our co-pilots. It's going to be Patchy, it's going to be Fire, to take you through these lovely journeys over onto Sanhok. Guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We're going to be heading into map number 2. It is none other than Sanhok. It is the CQC, the close quarter combat, coming out here, and already that flight path is giving me the it's making me feel a little bit of sus. I think we're going to see some battles happening straight off the bat. We're about to see where that zone is going to drop as well, of course, which will determine where a lot of those fights do end up happening. I see a lot of concentration of teams around that center map, and of course bootcamp probably going to be in contention, and there is that zone drop, and it's all the way towards the west, which means already there is quite a severe limitation on the amount of land that these teams have available, and it also puts a lot of pressure on those bridge spots. So yeah, I think things are going to be nice and interesting straight off the bat here. Bootcamp also looking nice and active, so hopefully we start to see those fights happening right away.
Yeah, definitely. We did speak about this just before the game started. Painan and Bootcamp, always seem to be, those spots you land in, and you're definitely sure, you have a huge chance of being in the zone once it begins to make that shift. Now, looking at the zone, just like you said, a lot of teams need to cross that bridge. For then Apex, looking like one of those teams who are pretty much going to get that free reign if they do play it quite well. But we do see already, there are some Ultra 6 already have one player, Lynx, who is down. And the fight is already beginning to happen versus the guys from Comfy 6. Comfy 6 looking like one of those teams who do need to get a whole lot of points. They're not sitting in a quite comfortable position before the day started. And, they need to get the kills. They need to get the points. It's not just about the points right now, being at the position where they're in. They need to also as well get those kills and get that huge position. But as well, you now see the guys from Toxic up against the Immortalz. Umar getting one of those knocks right there, and Sahil and Umar, I'm not sure if they're the only 2 players who are in this particular position, so it does look like a 2v2. If they can make that push onto Bash, they may be able to take him out, and he is not with Mr. Roji right now, but I'm not sure if they're aware of his position. And Bash is looking like he can make that move, and he does take out Umar, sends him right back into the lobby, but Sahil comes right back and also does take him out.
Oof. Yeah, straight off the bat, we see Immortalz and Toxic going head to head here in what looks to be bootcamp, I think. And straight off the bat, It's well, it's a little bit of an issue. You can see Mr. Raji all by himself there. Link's getting taken out from Ultra 6. They're in the kill feed. Some pressure coming up from the rest of the Immortals as Sahil and the rest of them, of course, come straight up and take control. Mr. Raji trying his luck here, moving around. I'm not too sure if he has any backup. I think most of his teammates have been taken out. Indeed, they have. He's just going to have to get the heck out of there, and certainly he will do so, but not before getting shot in the back by Sahil. No, sirree, you'll not be running away today. No cowardice from you. It's just going to be led into the back. So straight off the bat there, we have some nice battles coming through, and that was not boot camp indeed, but certainly at least we have some shots coming through from all over the place. I think that was Camp Charlie down there, and yeah, that's where the battle was happening. The rest of the map looking a-okay for the time being. And speaking of AOK, AOK is one of the teams towards Bootcamp, 4KT being the other. Now we'll see if 4KT and 7AOK will go head-to-head once again, and we'll see who comes out on top of that one if they do decide to fight. They're inside the zone for the time being, but of course that might just change in the future depending on where these teams decide to move. They're still safe. At the moment, you can see the island with Camp Alpha on it up in towards the northwest is basically uninhabited. There's like one team there maybe. There's quite a lot of space, but of course the teams don't exactly have access to that unless they rotate. And the zone is not necessarily guaranteed to go in that direction, despite the fact that it is very much slanted towards the west at the moment. So the teams really just have free reign to go and see if they can pick some fights.
Yeah, definitely. Taking a look at the guys from, Comfy 6, they're one of those teams who need to make that move. They need to make that play, getting into better positions within that zone right now. They do need the kills, but if they can't get the kills, definitely try to get the placement points as much as you can. I do see them every single game. They do have that power to fight. They do have great players like Broly, like Fenny, True. These are all really good players, but something's not just working out for them, and you can see Squeak already getting taken down right there by, Rain Score. And, it's a really tough one for them, but they need to, as much as possible, try to get into those late spots within the game. Fex already doing a whole lot of damage right now, taking out one of the players from 7AOK. You can say they're one of the giants so far right there on that leaderboard. But it does look like they've taken out a couple of players from 7AOK and sent them back into the lobby. So definitely make a huge impact in this game as Manfilas and Cavera have just been looking to get into the zone, leave that fight, get away from that position is probably the wisest thing that they could do. Because taking on a full 4KT team is, highly guaranteed to take your team out of the game quite early.
Yeah, it's exactly as you say. A full 4KT team right here is definitely a whole different ball game to fight against. I was saying how maybe they should pick a little bit of a safer play when they're down, but here it is, all four players alive for 4KT, which means they can certainly throw their weight around. They can certainly go and pick fights, and they have done just that, putting quite a bit of damage into 7AOK and forcing them to run for the hills. So good to see 4KT making sure that people know what is going on. They've made some space for themselves on that map. A lot of teams now streaming in, keeping themselves inside the safety of the zone for now. We'll see where the next zone does drop. But for the time being, Ultra 6 moving up. We've got Rain from Hell in the north as well, moving across and potentially making something happen. Depending on where they decide to go, all of these teams will start to run out of space very quickly. I think that's one thing that is consistent on this map in particular. It really does feel like you run out of space a lot quicker than usual. These teams are just absolutely picking those fights. Nukes going for a couple of those shots, long range across in towards Rain from Hell, using the rocks as cover, just trying to peek out and see if they can spot anything. But I think we're going to see a lot of these back and forth. I don't think anyone's going to want to expose themselves and go for a true push unless 4KT maybe decided to do something along those lines.
Yeah, but we've talked a lot about 4KT. We've talked about a lot of the firepower that they do bring in. I'm sure a lot of people watching do know about them. But there are teams like Rain from Hell, Ultra 6. These are teams that definitely do have the firepower to go on and, perform against any team that they do face, they do meet up against. And you can see Vindog right here getting another knock right there onto Skull, taking them out. They've both put damage onto themselves, taking out one player each. And Vindog is continuing to look like a player who is hungry for those kills, but the rest of his teammates are in a flank position, so he's got to be careful. If they do take him down, it definitely does put him in a bad spot, but oh, he does get another knock, taking down Old Boy, and he's got just Neon, and it does look like he's able to get another knock as well. He's putting a lot of damage onto the guys from Rainfall Hero. He's doing it all by himself. The rest of his teammates can now begin to provide them some support. It does look like Argos is just going to decide to get out of that one, and Vindog has put in the work right here, getting himself a couple of kills and putting his team in a great spot. They did lose one player, but they did get a couple of kills too.
Yeah, what a performance. Ultra 6 gaining so much ground thanks to Vanguard there, doing a lot of work, just single-handedly pushing up that hill and taking out so many players and doing so much damage there for the team. A nice play there and some good ground gain. That means they're going to be sitting quite happy inside the safe zone for the time being. A lot of the rest of the teams having to stream in across the rest of that map. You can see lots of movements to settle into that unsettled locations up towards the North Hatin. Maybe looking forward to taking that. Snake Eyes putting a little bit of damage in there. That's happening there. Lag taking a fight against Young Thunder, or Fear taking a fight against Young Thunder. It looks like Godly going to be moving up. Ungodly just pushing straight through. Chris getting thirsted immediately. Young Thunder, they have control of this area. They are surrounded though, so they do have to be careful because there is still plenty of opportunity. There's one, exactly what I was talking about, taking the opportunity, peeking up, taking the kill. Almost immediately, Godly going to be falling down to the ground, and the rest of his team is not in a position to assist. If they try and make that dash, they're going to be moving into the crosshairs of one again, which means that they might be in a little bit of a tough spot. There goes the shots, and barely Snake Eyes makes it alive. But, oh man, if he takes one more bullet, it is done and dusted for him. Lag now moving in, potentially looking to go in for the kill. They've got to support one and Safwan off on the backside to put the auxiliary firepower in, with the rest of the team moving up and doing so much damage. What a great nade coming through to prep up, soften the meat of your enemies. One coming through, gets the thirst, and that should be the push that ends it all. Lag just absolutely tearing through the competition here. Young Thunder not able to keep up. It's too many players to kill, too many bullets, and it's just going to be easy peasy for Lag to take this compound.
Lag definitely one of those teams who are showing that they are coming into this Umzansi with a bag. They got themselves a really good position. They got a couple of fair players not too far away from them. They got and the rest of the guys from INF also just not up them. And they got themselves quite a good position. And you can see the guys from 4KT also just trying to make their way all the way from boot camp onto that spot within that center, also predicting that the zone is going to end up within that region. So yeah, this is definitely what you want to do and what you expect from the Sanhok map. You get a lot of these early fights. You get a lot of teams, not afraid to make that push. Unlike the Erangel games where you do see a lot of teams just holding off and rotating with a lot of vehicles. So definitely the next zone is going to, make things a whole lot more dangerous, as some of those teams are going to find themselves, out of that circle. You got the guys from C who are still within that zone, but you never know what how these guys are going to have to rotate. You do see the guys from Aphelion Apex, not too far away from Zero Tolerance. We might see some fight coming down there. If not now, definitely when the zone does begin to rotate. The guys from Comfy 6 do look like they're sitting in a really good position. I do hope that they still remain within that zone because they do need these points. If they're not able to grab a whole lot of points going out of today's games, then they're definitely putting themselves in a really tough spot if they do remain in that bottom half of the table. So yeah, they're one team that I'm hoping to see a lot more coming from them. But just taking a look at 4KT, how they position, where they are right now, it does look like they followed the guys from 7 AOK. They've tracked them somehow, and they're looking to get more placement, more kill points from them.
Yeah, this is not a team that is ready to let go. They do not forgive, they do not forget, and they will hunt you down to the ends of the earth, or at least of the map so far. Hainsley going to get taken down in the meantime as Influence Rage getting hammered there in the kill feed by Lag, as Fantasy goes ham on Scissors and gets taken out immediately there. One going to hit the deck as well as Potato returns fire, and the shots are absolutely flying there in the top of the map. And indeed, Lag is actually going to win that fight out against Influence Rage and just take them out, eliminate them out of this map right now. The southern portion of the zone looking nice and crowded, ready for the fights to break out. 13 teams remaining, 40 players left alive as we head in towards zone number 3. things are going to start heating up that much more. 4KT still hot on the trail of 7A. They're still looking to pick up those kills in 4KT. They're smelling, they're looking, they're tracking down their prey and just seeing if it's going to be the right time to strike. They're even looking to make sure that there are no third parties that are potentially going to catch them off guard. You can see these guys are just ready to play today. They're not happy with their performance in map number 1. They're ready to play here in map number 2. Maybe try to get that chicken dinner. In fact, they should be trying to get that chicken dinner. I think every single team needs to be in that mindset. We're going for the chicken dinner. We'll see if they can make it happen.
4KT, just watching the game, and a lot of people who watch, these games playing against 4KT, you don't know how it feels like for other teams when you see 4KT, getting taken out quite early. I've been in the game where I've played, just some regular scrims. I won't call myself no professional and all that, but I know what it feels like when you actually do see a team like 4KT get taken out. You just breathe a sigh of relief, like, okay, yeah, I can play my game now. Because when you meet these guys, it's not going to take a couple of seconds before they get in those headshots, before they're taking you down. And to see 4KT with a full team right here, does look like, they're giving themselves a huge opportunity. But let's turn our sights onto the guys with 0 tolerance right here and the guys from Rila. You can see J-Roller's HP is really low, and those nades coming in right there from Mortal, taking him down. And it's just left with Zeke. All I see is Zeke at this particular point in time. I do know he's got a teammate or two just right at his back, but they're not able to provide that support, as Rose pretty much getting shot right there by Hate and 0 tolerance. They've got Vortex, just off on a flank position, who can come into the fight right there versus Zeke. They're pretty much not going to be able to get that revive onto Roller. So Zeke has got to make that move right now. The rest of the teammates have got to come in and provide that support. If they're able to get that revive onto J-Roller, it might turn things around. It might change the entire dynamics of this particular game. But they got 2 players down right now for Rila, and 0 tolerance is looking like a team that's going in for that finish. They can get a revive onto J-Roller. It might just turn things around. Rose got to try as much as possible to stay alive, stay in this game, and stay up as much as he can and revive his teammate. And Zeke put in the work right there, and he's able to take out one of the players from 0 tolerance, man. Pachi. Oof, this is looking tough, man. Well,
I mean, look at that fight right there, just rolling over there. Really, Inside is put on the back foot, but they've managed to survive so far. They've got some nice backline auxiliary fighting coming through for Zeke to keep him and the rest of the squad fighting in through this one. And, 0 tolerance, it looked like they were in the driver's seat, but they've taken so much damage that they might just be in a very difficult situation. Luckily for them, they have managed to juice themselves back up to that HP. And one of them has actually jumped off the cliff, but it's Hayes. He's still on the front lines. He's still fighting, and he's taken down one of the players. Zeke still in the front, leading the assault for the Rila Insiders. We've got Rao right next to him with that blue zone starting to move in. Things are going to be very, very difficult with 3 zones deep. So that blue zone is going to be doing a decent amount of damage so far. Hates still going to just stand his ground at the moment. Of course, popping the painkillers to make sure that he's got the regeneration coming through. And now he's just going to wait, doing a little bit of gatekeeping. Up comes the shots. And of course, Trip instantly going to be thirsted. Zeke, very low on HP, has to be careful about his situation. Rao not pushing forward is going to just waste time at this point. If you're the Rila Insiders, you have to make a decision. You either have to rotate away or you have to push through for this fight. And the same thing goes for 0 tolerance. You cannot wait in the blue forever. And of course, up they come. Rao trying to take the shots, but is taking so much damage in return. Has to make the crucial decisions. Mortal coming up to try and make a decision. He has to get that res. He has to take the fight, but up comes the shots. Up comes the fight. Zeke is going to get taken down. He can't land the hits in time. Mortal is still going to survive. Now he's taking the pot shot through the smoke. Is going to spot out the player. Rao is moving forward, but hasn't gotten taken down just yet. Swing coming out of Mortal. Is he going to be able to land the shots? The answer is no. Rao is going to outduel him. And there comes the thirst, of course, for the team. The Rila Insiders will barely be able to win this fight. Hate's just going to fling himself off the side of the cliff. He knows that his days are done. Rao just going to have to search for the meds, try and outrun the blue zone, which I'm not even sure at this point is possible. Of course, Hate's going to get taken out by the blue. The zone has shifted up once again. 4KT in pole position, moving down. You can see 7AOK moving down as well, and even see Esports moving down straight on top of them. A potential fight for the re-entry, so some more gatekeeping happening there towards the north. The west also going to look to be quite crowded as the teams start to move in. Ultra 6 has to make the rotation in from the south, so it is just going to be pushes from all over the show.
Yeah, definitely. Just taking a look at the position that 4KT has, they're sitting in a really good position. They're spread out across the entire zone. They can see everyone. They've got a mountain quite on their top, but even if they need to make that push, they have got the firepower to do that. They've got the guys from 7AOK who are in a fight, so they can come into a third party. You got CE Sports just about to make the move onto the two players from 7AOK. Manfilas and Caveira are looking to make that move, but I do suspect that I'm going to see 4KT making that third party. If the guys from C can finish off this fight, the rest of the players from 7AOK, getting taken out, then 4KT might just look to, just get into that fight. As you can see them already beginning to position. Just taking a look at that fight and just waiting to see how it goes and see if they can get a couple of kills for themselves. But one knock already coming onto the guys from CE Sports. It did look like that Risk naded himself, and the guys from 7AOK are stuck between two teams. If they do decide to run away from this one, you got Zeus, who's just waiting to get those knocks if they do decide to retreat. And if they do stay, you're pretty much up against a full team coming in from CE Sports. So actually, if you were in the shoes of the two players from 7AOK, knowing this, I mean, they don't know. They don't know the 4KT is on their side, but what would you advise them? How do you think they would play to escape this really tough position they're in right now?
My first advice is run as far and as fast as you can, because right now they're under so much pressure they don't even realize the danger that they're in. C is moving in, but 4KT are like vultures. They're waiting for the carcasses of this fight to be resultant, and up come the CE Sports team, wiping 7AOK out. But that might have just given the card for 4KT to pick up the fight, and here comes Zeus. So much damage done. This is what I was talking about, the vultures looking to swoop in and pick on the dead bodies of the remaining players there from CE Sports. They've got to juice themselves back up. They've got to get the health going as soon as possible, or they've got to run out of there as quickly as they can, because 4KT are looking for the kills, and this team has shown that they can make it happen. They're dangerous. They're not impossible to beat, but certainly you have to keep your weather eye out for them when they look to go into your location. Thankfully, 4KT has not decided to push in just yet, but the trigger fingers are ready. They're itching, and they're just waiting the crosshairs in the direction of the CE Sports team. In the meantime, Dead going to be tossing the shots towards Ultra 6. Yes, that blue zone washes over them. This is not a good position to be in. They're just going to have to sprint out of there as quickly as possible. Of course, ATROX here for them, not in a great position. All three of the four players have been taken out. Dead is the last one remaining. He does manage to get out of the blue for the time being, but man, he's in a difficult spot. He's going to have to lone wolf this play out all the way to the end and see how far he can go. We top 9 teams at the moment, 24 players left alive. We're in zone number 5, moving in towards 6. Fex, of course, from 4KT, still in pole position, looking towards the surrounding areas. The CE Sports team makes a very smart decision and gets in towards that zone as quickly as they can. 4KT still on the eastern side there. They've got a nice spread. They've been looking for some kills all over the show, and indeed, they will be rewarded with some, picking up here and there some stragglers off on the side. Dead also a straggler who has to make his way on, and he's most likely going to run straight into the Aphelion Apex team. 4KT, they're going to have to move into the zone very quickly, but they do have to deal with Broly and the rest of the Comfy 6 there, hold up in the compound towards the east. So Comfy 6 have to be careful, because 4KT is about to move on in, and if they spot Comfy 6 squad out, it might just be a difficult time for them. You can see those HPs are not looking good. Oh, so much damage done there. Broly has to make something happen. He's trying to get the 4K team to back off, but the nades are flying through, and Fex is not backing down from the challenge. In he comes, instant thirst, and he's just knocking on all the doors. He's picking up all the kills. Broly's the last one left alive, and he is not even alive anymore. Immediately taken out. No chance to even exist in the sight of 4KT, as 4KT just barely outrunning that blue zone to take their place in safety. 6 teams remaining.
Yeah, definitely, and this is what you do expect from the guys from 4KT. They were battling the zone, coming in from that zone right now. Some of the teams are backed away from that fight, but they wanted the kills. They know they've got the firepower, and they just went at it. Took out the guys from Comfy 6, and I definitely do feel sorry for a team like Comfy 6, because I'm always rooting for the underdog to get as much points as they can, and you can see that they were trying to get themselves into a good spot. They were trying as much as possible. Fenny and Broly trying as much as possible to, just relax in that building and rotate into the zone when they can. But unfortunately, they come across the guys from 4KT, and they did what they did, and just wiped them out and just moved comfortably into that zone. So you can see 4KT playing a little bit differently from how they started off the game. They started off the game, just holding that center, holding that spot. But now the zone has forced them to just edge things out, and they've got a couple of teams just around them. They got Aphelion Apex on their west side. They've got a couple of teams on their north right there, just hanging. You see a full team from Lag, and they know this. The guys from Lag are just watching them, and they. Oh my goodness, they get taken out because they were in a bad spots. They got a couple of teams just around them, and now we're down to just 4 teams. And you know what? Down to 3 teams. This Lagi Sports, it is C, and it's just going. It's just happening fast, Pachi, man.
Oh, the eliminations are just absolutely ramping up in speed. Exponential increase here. Lag in a brilliant position on top of this mountain, just capitalizing on all of those angles. C Esports doing a good job of eliminating team after team here. They're just taking the shots and ripping through, tearing through the HPs of everyone that they come into contact with. Aphelion Apex up on the mountain is under a lot of fire. They're inside the blue zone at the moment, just have to peek right through there and try and stay alive, but they're being bombarded with shots. They're being bombarded with nades. It is not a very easy situation for them to be in. Rusty looking for the shots through the smoke there in towards Lag. But man, they have a tough time ahead of them because, of course, C on the one side has been doing very well. They're just swinging their bullets, shooting through absolutely everything. Although they don't have the height advantage, they are still managing to fight from this position. Aphelion Apex cowering inside the smoke, trying to stay alive for as long as possible. But only one of these teams is going to be able to take the chicken dinner. And they're going to have to fight tooth and nail to make it happen as we move from zone 7 towards zone number 8. Pretty going to get taken down as the shots coming through. Sicker going to hit the deck next as Lag pulling the trigger on towards Aphelion Apex. Down they go one by one, all going to fall. And now Aphelion Apex on their last couple of players. In fact, now we're going to be moving up at C, taking so much damage from Zero. Lag Esports relentlessly pushing up, pistoning them against the side and absolutely pinning them to the rocks. But an instant fire coming back from C Esports to try and stay alive. They're in a bad position. So much damage done. Risk gonna have to try and stay alive, get behind the rock as quickly as possible. But they're running out of members. They're running out of players. They're running out of HP. 2 teams remaining. But it looks like we might just see C Esports. They take the win as Cold is trying to out-heal the zone, which is not a position that you want to be in. Aphelion Apex most likely going to take that second spot as a dash to zone seems basically untenable indeed. He is just out healing as long as possible. But yeah, I don't think that's a winnable situation. So, man, what a tense final fight that was.
Man, definitely cool taking a cue right there from Louise. He's from KHK. He's lent it, too. He's got a couple of nets and got himself, taking his team all the way to that second spot. I mean, this is definitely, one of the tactics that we're seeing from a lot of teams right now. And, with a huge placement points like that, he's definitely giving his team a whole lot of points. So yeah, definitely a good one for them. But C Esports, one of the teams, coming in from Inconsi, definitely taking that first position right now. We've said this a whole lot of times. For those who don't know what the Inconsi is another tournament that is, hosted just below this, and teams from Inconsi qualify all the way into the Umzansi. But just because they're just coming into the Umzansi for the first time, they're not holding back. They're saying, we're a top team. We're tough teams. We know what we're doing. They're playing their strategy and they're taking out the best of the best. And you can see right there, they have themselves that winner chicken dinner right there with 13 kills.
Oh, 13 kills in the pocket of C Esports, stepping it up in a big way, taking the chicken dinner. That's so many points straight on to that leaderboard total for them. Of course, Aphelion Apex taking second place off the back of Cold, just making sure to snake it out and out-heal the zone for a great number of seconds. Of course, Lag in position number 3 with an equally impressive 13 kills for themselves. So once again, I mean, that leaderboard looking absolutely one-sided. But of course, this time it's just a new set of teams taking those top 3 slots.
Look, I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that we see such a competitive spirit within our PUBG Mobile teams that, at any moment in time, the top dogs might be finding themselves in a little bit of a dire strait as there's other teams that are going to be taking their spots instead. So it's a really, really good thing. It goes to show, as I mentioned, for the talent we have within Africa for PUBG Mobile, and it just provides some really interesting games that keep you on the edge of your seat, but it does throw all of our analysis into a bucket in a corner that we're never going to work with because nothing makes sense anymore. Actually, nothing makes sense anymore. But looking at it, you know, we had lag obviously also pulling in some crazy numbers there. I think Fantasy was also sitting on 7 kills alongside some of the members there from C as well. So it's not like there was a disparity in kills this time around. Hopefully, then you know the distribution of points should be a little bit more even. But so far, it has been a very exciting set of series. Patchy, if you would please do take us through the standings from game number 2.
Yeah, of course. 13 kills for C Esports, taking that chicken dinner and giving them a total of 28 points for that match. That is, of course, match number 2. Lag Esports also coming in there, position number 3, plus the 13 kills, giving them a total of 23 for that second position final placement there on the leaderboard. Of course, Aphelion Apex taking in position number 3 with 14 points. We've got 4KT in 4th with 13 points. Fear in 5th with 8 points. Rila Insiders in 6 with 7 points. Ultra 6 in 7 with 6 points. That's a lot of 7s and 6s. ATROX in 8th position with 4 points to round out that first page of the leaderboard there. Certainly, once again, those top 3-4 teams just picking up so many of the kills away from that game. Of course, the second page, 9th place is the Immortalz with 4.0 Tolerance in 10th with 4 points as well. Comfy 6, Young Thunder and Rain from Hell with 2 points each in 11th, 12th, and 13th positions respectively. 7 AOK coming in 14 with 1 and Toxic with 1 in 15th position. Influence Rage heading up 16th place with 0 points. So certainly a little bit of a struggle for them as it has been over the last 2 games. Which is a little bit unfortunate for them since they were sitting so high up on that leaderboard. But of course, the MVP coming through from Lag Esports, it's going to be a Fantasy with 7 kills, 879 points of damage, and 24 minutes, 18 seconds survival time for map number 2. Certainly a good performance out of a number of teams in that match, but a lot of the teams unexpected, although some of them not so unexpected. Of course, C Esports doing a really good job. They were one of the teams we were talking about before we started today's games, and they have stepped it up here in game number 2 to take quite a considerable number of points. The question is, who on earth is going to be taking game number 3? Because I still don't know.
No, I'm not even going to try and make you try and analyze that. Neither you, Fire. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you guys in the hot seat tonight because so far it has definitely been unexpected what we've been seeing. The performances coming out of these teams, you can definitely see they are pushing for those leaderboard points. They want to make sure they're going to be moving on to the next phase, and that is understandable. I'm glad to see that spirit coming through, but for the time being, we're going to put that on pause as we go to a quick break. When we come back, of course, we're going to be going over to Miramar, one of our largest maps in the PUBG Mobile map pool for Umzansi Esports Season 4. So make sure you stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Umzansi. Oh, it's been such a good day. Like, we've had so crazy matches. I can't even English, so we're just going to move on from that sentence and just ignore the fact that that made no sense whatsoever and go to the standings to remind you what happened there on Sanhok. Group B and Group C going absolutely crazy today, trying to get those points. And so far, we've had a very different top 5, top 10. The winners, of course, indeed have just been proving that they are here for a very good reason. Patchy, if you would, please take us through the standings.
Yeah, C Esports in position number 1, 28 points for themselves in that single game there. Coming up quite nicely. These guys have been performing really well so far in this season. Of course, moving down is Lag Esports in second place with 23. Aphelion Apex in position number 3 with 14. Followed closely by Slime 4KT in 4 with 13 points. We've got Fear in 5th position with 8 points. Rila Insiders in 6 with 7 points. Ultra 6 in 7 with 6 points. ATROX in 8th with 4 points to round out page number 1. Of course, moving on to page number 2, it's the Immortalz in 9th position with 4 points, as well as Zero Tolerance Skills with 4 points in 10th position. Comfy 6 in 11 with 2, as well as Young Thunder with 2 points in 12. Rain from Hell coming in with 2 points in 13th position. 7AOK with 1 point, as well as Toxic Esport with 1 point, 14 and 15 respectively. To round things out, it's Influence Rage in 16 with 0 points. So quite a crazy map was map number 2, but of course we have an even more interesting prospect moving into map number 3 because it is Miramar, and I'm expecting at least some more performance coming out of 4KT, because it looked like in map number 2 they were trying to get some payback for a little bit of a downward performance in map number 1, but they didn't really get into the top 3 like we were hoping they would. Maybe Miramar is where they're going to try and make it happen. Otherwise, we're just going to see some crazy stuff happening once again, and maybe somebody else will take it this time. Who knows?
Yeah, look, the closest thing we can get to a pattern for tonight is that we've had different winner chicken dinners, of course. So hopefully that will follow suit going through to Miramar, because then at least we have some sort of pattern to follow, something to make sense of tonight. But so far, every single team has looked like a winner ready to take their W for the day. So there's no particular team that I'm like, yes, absolutely, we're going to see that team pop off now, we're going to see that team pop off now. So I'm not going to be able to make you guys try and predict what's going to happen there on Miramar. But what I do want to ask, though, Fire, going through, what are some of the strategies we normally do see teams adapt going onto a bigger map like Miramar, for those of the viewers that may not be familiar with it?
Definitely is a bigger size map. What you do expect is a lot of early rotations. A lot of teams trying to get towards that center of the circle to hold points, at mountains, for example, or to hold strategic buildings, because what they do want to do is take shots at those teams who are rotating into the zone quite late and just blow up the vehicles, just take teams out who might just be lurking around the edges of the map. So yeah, that teams who want to win, definitely Miramar, you got to be in that circle. You got to find a way to be in quite early and hold your position. Sometimes it's just down to luck at the end of the day if the zone just move towards your spot.
Yeah, the zone, as me and Patrick always make a joke about it, it is alive, and it decides where it wants to punish the teams. It decides where it wants to rotate, and how we've often seen it is that the zone does the complete opposite of what the players really wanted to do, or potentially what the casters really wanted to do. So we know, Patchy, we know many things about the zone, don't we?
Especially it knows many things about us, and whenever you're thinking about where you want the zone to go, what you want it to do, it knows. It can see your thoughts, and then it generally tends to not do what you want it to do. So it's very spiteful, and it doesn't like anyone.
Of course, we are joking just a little bit. There's no all-knowing zones. Don't worry. There's
Oh,
nothing
really?
like that exists.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You think
Are you
that's what's
sure?
happening, but actually, PUBG's listening to you through your mic, and it's using 5G to read your mind and see what your thoughts are. And you're like, I hope the zone goes north, and then it goes south just to spite you.
No. Okay, ignore what Patchy just said, but let's talk about Miramar. It is starting. The plane has started. The players are loading their parachutes as we speak. So I'm going to give it over to our lovely casters who have a few conspiracy theories. We're going to give it over to Patchy. We're going to give it over to Fire, and they're going to do what they do and take you in to Miramar. Guys, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Proxy. It is map number 3. It is Miramar. Of course, it is our final map for this evening. For today's games. for day number 1 of this week's games, should I say. At least we've got a nice east to west flight path taking us off across the map, mostly down towards the south, so the north portions of that map not going to be really accessible unless, of course, the teams decide to move up there, which we have seen throughout the season. A lot of teams do decide to make those long rotates up into unjumped areas or open areas, at least. We'll see where the zone does decide to go, and I do see quite a pack of teams moving up towards the north, so they are looking to drop down into potentially places like San Martin, maybe make the long rotate over in towards El Paso. Who knows? At this stage, we're just waiting for that zone to drop, and then we'll see where the fight will take place. All the way down in the south is going to be that zone drop. Definitely not something that you see too often here on a map like Miramar.
Man, just taking a look at the position that Slime 4KT has, it does look like the zone is definitely just smiling upon them. They've got that central spot. Another team that does need a lot of points, which is the Comfy Six, also sitting quite comfortably right there in that zone. You got Fear Esports, just off on the eastern region right there, but they got a team right on their tails. They got to be careful about that. If Apex, who came second in the last game, grabbing a whole lot of placement points as well, sitting in that zone. So what we do know about Miramar is it's one of those maps, it's a really large map, right? But teams just find a way to, meet each other. There's a lot of early fights coming down in Miramar a lot of times while, I'm watching a lot of these teams and I don't just know why. It just seems like they just have favorite spots and they just decide, hey, you know what, we're gonna go at each other. As you can see right now, the guys on YT coming up against Fear, it does look like Superior has probably spotted, one of the guys from Fear trying to get an angle, trying to get a shot, or probably just, trying to get a loot or two, and he might get spotted and taken out by the guys from Fear. Who knows? It would be lovely to see some early action going down on in this map. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that is certainly one thing that I've come to very much enjoy about Miramar. A lot of teams do like to drop relatively close in proximity because they know how big this map is, because they know that they need to put in the extra effort to make fights happen here because of that size. So they do like to get in nice and close early on, and they do like to push and make things happen, or at least that is the theory. Hopefully the teams do continue on with that. You can see as you mentioned, Young Thunder is very close to Fear, so maybe we'll see a fight happening here, a fight brewing here over time, potentially, although it's not guaranteed. Unfortunately, one of the things about this map is that there's so much wide open space that a lot of the time teams can just decide not to engage and just walk straight past one another. The nice thing about Fear and, of course, Young Thunder is that they are inside the zone at the moment, which means they don't have to rotate. They're in safety for the time being. Same with 4KT and the Comfy Six, as well as Aphelion, Apex 7, AOK, Lag, Ultra 6, and Rain from Hell. They're all in pretty good positions of safety. They can make some quick rotates to get in to the zone. The rest of the teams will have to make a little bit longer of the rotates. The Immortalz, you can see, moving up around that map, and Zero Tolerance also has to move down there all the way from that western position, all the way pushed up against the unplayable area there, the cliff face on the western side, which we have had a zone end on before, which was quite interesting to see. I think they may have tried to code that out since the many updates that we've had since that happened many seasons ago, but who knows, it could still happen. One thing I noticed is that the southern island is not under control at all. There's nobody in that particular position. Nobody is controlling that area, so maybe a bit of a free one for some teams to rotate into if they would like to do so. Hint, hint. Maybe you should do that. I like it when people jump down into that particular area because no one ever gives it love. No one ever shows the Southern Island any love on this map whatsoever. It makes me sad.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you can already see Fenny just getting into a position where the guys from 4KT are right now. I'm not sure if they've popped up shots onto one of the players from 4KT, but Fenny pretty much just looking to get out of that position and taking some shots right there from Amar. As he does reduce some of his HP. He's got to get out of that spot. Remember, it was 4KT who took them out in the last game, so this would definitely be deja vu for the guys from, 4KT and Comfy Six, but Squeaky doing a really good work right there and putting in the cover fire, forcing the guys from 4KT to just back off from that particular one.
Yeah, right now 4KT, they need some redemption stories going for themselves. They need to pick up the kills. They need to pick up some elims as well. They need to get some teams out of here and push themselves up that map. If they don't get top 3 finish now, I think it's going to be pretty disappointing for them. Maybe we're looking for some more. They have their full stack team ready to go, so they've got a little bit more firepower to work with, but their Via does seem to be a little bit detracted here. You've got a Comfy 6 just really making things difficult for them, spread out. They have gotten a knock onto Fenny, but shouldn't be in too much of a danger. I think the team can rotate and come and pick him up. Unless 4KT do decide to get a little bit more aggressive. Some angles are being held, Broly, of course, with that Mini 14. Some LMG action to try and push back 4KT if they do decide to push through. Right now, it is a long-range battle, and that is pretty much traditional Miramar. That is exactly what you expect out of this map. The long-range engagements have to come through that elevation, making it super, super easy to get angles onto the teams in the lower area and the surrounding areas. So definitely something that we expect at this point. The wide open spaces, the open areas, definitely making those long-range engagements quite enjoyable and quite easy to get some picks, as we've seen time and again. 4KT do decide to make that rotate. I'm not sure if they're going to go for Fenny at the moment. It looks like they're going to reposition a little bit closer and make it quite difficult for Comfy 6 to make it through. So, of course, they have just decided to back off of that one. Fenny not going to get rezzed, and well, that's just a free kill for 4KT.
Yeah, I think the guys from 4KT are looking, to probably just get themselves into better positions, get out of that fight. But you're just watching to make sure that they can finish it off. They've got Squeaky not too far away from them, so they do have to be careful not to get into, sort of like, a third party position where she can, just take them out. But it's a really interesting one for the guys from 4KT. They've been able to grab themselves, a kill or two. They're still in a good position within that zone. The next zone is definitely going to determine or change a whole lot of things. I do feel for the guys from Comfy 6 because they do need a whole lot of points. They need to play careful. They need to stay away from teams like 4KT early on. They don't want to be battling, the big bosses up on that leaderboard right now. What they do want to do is, just rotate away, stay away from a couple of these fights. But we've spoken about Comfy 6, we've talked about 4KT a lot. There's just seen a lot of fights coming in from them. One of the other teams that we haven't really talked about is the guys from INF. Influence Rage is one of those teams that we do not have the firepower to, boss any particular lobby that they're in. But we did see them in the first game being 2v4 against 4KT. In the second game, they got absolutely stumped by the team from Lag. Is it just a one-off thing? Do you think they're one of those teams that you can call like, a one-day wonder? So by that I mean, they come into these games and they absolutely just blow our minds away. They perform incredibly. Hansley, Potato, Mercury, and the rest. We've known them for seasons as great players. But do you think it's just the synergy is not just finding a way to perform week in, week out, or they're just basically unlucky?
Yeah, I think, players and teams often have, we all have our off days where we're not really on top of our game. Maybe that's where they're sitting at the moment, just not really on top of the game at the moment. I mean, as you mentioned, players like Hensley, these guys can make it happen. We know these guys have the potential. They can certainly do big things. Speaking of potential, in the meantime, Lag going to be putting some shots over and towards 4KT, taking a potential fight here as well. Maybe going to make something happen up against 4KT, who has also not really been on top of the game just for the moment. Struggling a little bit in match number 1, coming back a bit better in map number 2 and looking to try and get some redemption here in map number 3. But they're going up against Lag, who are looking to shut them down. Maybe can they make it happen? I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll find out, because 4KT look intent on keeping this fight going, and Lag are not looking like they're backing down either. So hopefully we will see the fight starting shortly, and indeed up comes the Zeus, and he's just going to get hammered straight across the road. Not too sure why I decided to make that happen. Wasn't expecting that road to be held, but it was. Zero, he was just looking straight down. He's like, yeah, thanks, I'll pick that up free.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why Zeus decided to make that move. There was probably no pressure. He was probably in a better spot. He could have gone on to hold a flank position. I just think it was probably just unaware. I'm not really sure. That didn't look like the smartest thing to do in that particular spot. And 4KT definitely losing 2 players now. We do know they're capable of performing the 2v2, but it was an unnecessary loss right there. I don't think Zeus should have made that move. I do admit, like the first knock onto Ama was probably just them being caught unawares, but I mean, Zeus could have I'm no perfect player myself. I mean, I don't know what mistakes could have been made. But definitely, I'm really confused, about that move he made right there. But anyways, we do know the guys from 4KT have the power, to turn the tables around in games like this. We do see 7AOK putting in the work right there onto insiders. They're also another team looking to make their move and looking to, perform quite well. These two teams coming up all the way from Inconti, bound to try as much as possible to show their prowess. And Insider has lost two players. They're down to the strip and roll. And I'm not sure how many players the guys from 7OK have, but it does look like they have two players right on the scene and one player just on all the way back. So I'm not sure how they're going to decide to play, but it does look like Ro is probably just going to decide to get out of this position, and just get themselves better placement points. That's definitely what you want to see from a team trying as much as possible to stay up on that leaderboard. So they had a couple of exchange of knocks, but Insiders lost two players and 7OK losing one player's score right there.
Yeah, straight off the bat, 7AOK taking quite a bit of damage here as we move on to Ultra 6, who's also taking the fight, but trying to retreat down the mountainside for a little bit of cover here, as the fight doesn't go all that well for them either. So at least we see the fights breaking out all across the map, and we do see the struggles happening. And once again, it seems to be the same teams that we've been waiting to step up, also just not really having a good day today. Broly putting the shots in across as the rotation comes through from Ultra 6. Not going to find any knocks or kills. 4KT clapping back a little bit in towards lag. Broly taking so much damage. Nuke's just going to nuke his health bar straight down there. Broly going to hit the deck, although he should be able to get picked back up. No problem. Squeak coming in for that. The rotation for the zone going to go in towards the east, as the teams do have to start making their way across that line. It's going to be quite difficult, though, because there's a number of teams off into the same location. So I do suspect that we will see quite a bit of gatekeeping, quite a bit of fights as those rotations do start to come in. We still have 15 teams and 51 players left on this board right now. And 4KT coming under quite a bit of pressure from lag.
Yeah, definitely. We do know that they're one of those teams that can turn things around. I do see facts. I do think they've still got two players right here on this particular position, so they might be able to turn things around against the team from lag. Not sure how many players from lag are still up right now, but you can see Fex is coming in right there, getting one of the knocks onto 0, and he's one of those players that can definitely just turn things around. It is now a 2v3, and the guys from lag have got to be absolutely careful right now. He's about to throw out that nade onto the position where they are, and he can turn things around. You can see that the other player from 4KT, 1995, is just in a flank position, and he may also be able to get another knock right there. And Vex coming in right there with a quick open scope, but they do take him down. Luck is not shining on the side for 4KT, as the guys from lag have been able to get a couple of knocks. So definitely 5 has got to make that move. He's got to get another knock right there onto the guys from lag, and just turn things around. So let's see how it goes.
Yep, we'll just have to take a look and see 4KT under quite a bit of pressure, but they have been surviving so far. One of the players is down 5, or at least 1995 has to make something happen here, because it is a 1v, possibly 3 or 4, even if they get this res through. It's going to be quite difficult. The nade's getting tossed just to try and back them all for the moment, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make the rotate for the pickup either. It's going to be quite difficult for him. I don't think he's going to like that at all, but we'll see for the time being. Yeah, Fex does get taken down, so that's a bit unfortunate. It is all down to 5. We're just going to call him 5 because I don't want to say 1995 the whole time. 5 going to push up, take quite a bit of damage there as he moves through the doorway. And he has to fight so many players. I don't think he's going to be able to do this. And indeed, damage done, but not enough. Fantasy will take him down. Of course, the thirst comes through as, well, he doesn't have any teammates to try and keep himself alive. Lag to be out dueling 4KT. They're taking the rest of them down and taking them out of the map. 14 teams now remaining. And so quite a number of teams start to roll up on that position. You can see the center-ish point of that zone getting quite crowded. We're seeing lots of fights breaking out. Rao just taking the damage all the way in, runs out of bullets, even just spraying so many across. The damage is being done as the Rila insiders continue to try and put the pressure on Cold, the guy who was out healing the zone for many minutes for no reason in the games prior, is now up for the count in the blue zone once again to try and fight it out against the Rila insiders, who are losing HP bit by bit.
Yeah, definitely. He does have some experience in that, but now that is not all he has to do for his team. He's got to find a way to get those knocks. He's got to find a way to turn things around for his team and get them into a good position, or pretty much just get out of that spot, try to get that revive and move all the way into that zone. Well, I'm not sure this team is looking to let him do that. They might just be taken out. And you can see they're now, the guys from ATX is coming in with that third party, popping up shots onto Seiko and trying as much as possible to get those knocks, but they're pretty much probably going to be able to get that revive.
Yeah, Gold coming through, taking a bit of damage from the blue, but he has to make something happen, trying to get the flank off, but Trips too quick on the trigger. He does get taken down, though. Sicko gonna fall in the blue as well, dead. Trying to get some third-party shots going off into that battle, which is not looking too good. Sicko crawling around in the blue zone is not the best place to be, but Rao should be in the position to get the thirst and the res onto him as well. So some tough situations all across the board. With the blue zone now moving in from zones 4 to zone 5, things are going to be heating up that much more. We're running out of space. Mortal going to be putting the shots in. A very nice slam dunk going on to Risks. Sicko also going to fall, of course, that being to the blue zone. The res does come through for the Rila Insiders. Wizard going to get taken down in that kill feed as well. So the battles are absolutely happening all across the map right now. And things are not going to be getting any easier as we are running out of space bit by bit. You can see ATROX taking up residence in the compound just up ahead. They're quite happy to sit there. They're inside the safe zone for the time being. Up in towards the north, you can see Mortal and the rest of Zero Tolerance trying to make things happen. The shots come through. The thirsts come through as well. And Mortal's keeping himself in the game, taking the shots and absolutely laying waste to the enemies at the moment. They've still got a bit of time before that blue zone washes up. So they are good to go despite not being in the zone. They might just run into Ultra 6 if they try and rotate down, but for the time being, they are okay. Speaking of okay, 7A okay, getting hammered as well as the young Thundercats. Broly getting a slam dunked as the Comfy 6 under fire. 11 teams suddenly now. We are left with 34 players alive, and the nades are absolutely being popped as Lag is now pushing up in towards ATROX to try and relieve them of their particular spot and maybe take it for themselves. ATROX need to be careful to defend this location.
Ooh. All right, they got some ATROX and one of those teams, who do need a whole lot of points. They got some Lag are trying to push up onto their position. Lag having dealt with 4KT in this game right now, our team with a lot of firepower, so ATROX have got to be careful. You can see them moving in closely together. Fantasy and One, they're pushing up onto that building, and ATROX has got to make that move. They do take down there. They've taken down another player from the guys from ATROX, and this is not looking good for the ATROX team, as they're one of those teams who do need to get themselves a whole lot of points. If you're trying to make that move, the rest of his teammates have got to get into this fight. I'm not sure why they're holding back and waiting for their teammates to get knocked in the first place before they do join in on that particular fight. But they just hold it right here. You can see it's just left with High and Soho. They throw in that nade, anticipating that the players from Lag might move onto that spot behind the building and trying to hold it up. But Safonok just getting in that thirst onto the team. So Lag has lost a couple of players as well. And the two teams have pretty much done damage to themselves, and it is now a 2v2. So let's see. It did look like some third-party shots did come in from some other teams. I do believe it was the guys from Insider who got some third-party kills or some third-party shots onto the guys from Lag. But now coming in right now, you can see the guys from Lag will be looking to make those pushes onto the guys from ATROX, and ATROX do really need to win this, because if they do go out early again in this particular game, then they might still see themselves sitting at that low position within that leaderboard, and they do not want to be at that bottom spot. They got to find a way to get themselves out of this one. But that Kobe move coming in from I Am High, doing the job right there and getting him down. I do believe they might be looking to make a push right now on and seal things off right here. They do need the kill points. They do need to get those points right now. And you can see Soho pretty much making that chase right there onto 1-9. And let's go. I'm not sure if I'm calling 1-9 or 19 players and their names, but he's putting in the work. He's gotten one knock onto Soho, and it's just left with one player right here trying to get that thirst. Not sure if that's the smartest move he should be making right now. But anyways, he's just putting in that delay, hopefully trying to get that rest on, and I Am High. Focus. Ooh, I did think he was going to try to get that revive right there. at that particular point in time, but 1-9 has been able to heal his HP up a little bit, and it's a 1v1. He's about to make that move. He's reduced his HP and pushes onto him, and 1-9 finally gets that finish.
What an
ATROX
extended
going
fight
out.
that was, man. That was a bit of a back and forth right there, and Lag only comes out barely on top there, barely unscathed. Outcast getting taken down, and Ungodly also going to fall, and that kill feed going absolutely insane. Mojo and Vanguard also going to be falling as the players are absolutely battling it out. 9 teams remaining as everyone is just fighting for their lives. That zone has been reduced so tiny right now. Teams are just streaming in to get into safety, but the gatekeeping is real. The players are absolutely throwing down the gauntlet at the moment and taking fights with one another. Molly's getting tossed all across the place. Romeo looking for a little bit of damage into the teams up ahead of him as Immortalz pushing through in towards the Rila outside is what remains of them at least. That's so many Molotovs. They are basically roasted and toasted alive here. There's no ways they get out of this as the Immortalz are now pushing up to try and seal the deal here. Inside is in a very difficult spot, and indeed the Molotovs just going to be too much damage. Trip now last remaining inside that house, and things are just not going well all across the board for these teams. You can see that they are just losing players left, right, and center, losing HP all over the place now. Umar, of course, just making sure that he is waiting for the push to come through the zone, reducing once again. Out comes Outcast, picking up the kills, making sure that the Thirsts are coming through as well. 7 teams remaining, 13 players left alive as you're moving in towards zone number 6, but that zone is looking so small right now that these teams are going to struggle to find their place inside the safety. We'll see who's going to be able to come out on top of this one, because right now it has been anyone's game all day long. These 3 games have just been anyone's game, and people have been stepping up left, right, and center. No one team has shown over dominance right now. It is just anyone's game, and anyone can pick this up. You can see Zero Tolerance up in the north there, feeling Apex staying alive, as well as Lag right up there. Lots of stragglers all over the show, as you can see Umar moving up with the rest of his team to try and take Trip out, who is still alive somehow in this position.
All right, definitely. One of the teams that, we haven't spoken about too much today is the guys from Fear. Fear is one of the teams that, have been in the Umzansi for quite some time. They do have a lot of experience, just being here and taking on fights upon fights. They're an aggressive team, but sometimes it just seems like, luck is probably not on this side. They probably not got the zone, but they're one of those teams, if they do apply a bit more strategies, probably, they rotate quite early. They do have the firepower to take on a couple of teams around them. You can see INF right down. He just handles it again, and Immortalz putting in the shots right there, and MFP able to take them out. INF, capping out today, with a whole lot of losses. They did better in this game. They didn't go out last like they did in previous games, but it's still not a good position for them to be in. Coming out of today, they'll probably have to rethink, about the strategies and just try as much as possible to put in, the better work going on into next week. So we do hope to see some things coming out for them. But Fear, with their full team right here, are looking really strong going into this final circle. You got Fear, you got Zero Tolerance, who I think is sitting with just one player. You got Aphelion Apex with just one. The Immortalz are pretty much getting the heel onto the players, but it does look like they have 3 players. 3 players, as we can see, just confirmed right here. It is just hates for Zero Tolerance. So we got 6 teams, but a whole lot of those teams are bleeding or not complete teams. It looks like Fear does have the opportunity when it comes to the numbers to seal this game off.
Yeah, and right now they have the numbers. They've got some positioning to work with, as well as that zone closes in. Once the game we move from 6 to 7, things are going to get that much more difficult for these teams. Up comes MFP to try and put the damage in, but instantly punished by Chris, who lands the shots, lands the damage. Nice and slick, goes to rejoin the team, taking a little bit of return fire, but he's still alive at the time being. So much crossfire. Look at this. Absolute chaos all across the map as that zone shrinks down and nobody is snug inside of it just yet. Everyone has to fight for the positions. 5 teams remaining as everyone is just trying to take one another out. So many stragglers trying to crawl up into safety, but Fear is laying down the law right now. Immortalz trying to fight back against Fear, but they have only a limited amount of space to work with. Only one of these teams is going to take that chicken dinner right now. Fear have to make sure that they maintain their priorities. You can see Hate and Kage on the back line, which means Fear has to worry about a number of different angles. They might actually just want to push forward to try and isolate as many of those as possible. The nades are getting prepped up in towards the Immortalz, who are the biggest threat to them right now. They've got the most players, but that slam dunk from King is going to do enough damage to take Umar down for the time being, and that might just be the go signal to try and take them out. Fear pushing up King, doing a lot of damage, but no kills just yet. Has to push straight over this hill. Lots of damage being done. He hits the deck as well. Fear not just able to get over the crux of this hill, trying to go through, but it's Hulk to do the damage as he comes straight over there, swinging, pulling through for the team and making sure that it is done. But now they have to worry about the players on the back line. 3 teams remaining, most of them stragglers. It's Hate trying to contend with the rest of the team, but no reses can come through for Fear so long as Trip and Hate are looking in their direction. Now, it could be a 1v1. Hate's going for the flank on towards Trip. In fact, he has found him, instantly headshots him and takes him out. And now it's a 1v4 against Fear. Make that a 1v3 as Chris gets taken down. They have to try and get those reses and those heals up as quickly as possible. Hulk needs to do more work right now as Hates is trying to make it happen. Lots of damage done towards him. He has to be very, very careful. It's a 1v3. It's a magic clutch that needs to come through for him if he wants zero tolerance to win this one. Otherwise, Fear is just about to steamroll. Up comes Outcast and King. The nades are flying as well. Hulk on the back line, and they should be able to close this up pretty quickly, but Hate is still fighting for his life, fighting for the chance to maybe clutch it out. He gets 1, he gets 2, but can he get 3 is the question. Up he comes, does the damage. Is it enough?
Oh! What?
Zero tolerance skills coming up there with that chicken dinner. 9 kills in the pocket. Fear getting relegated down into second place. Man, oh man, what a finisher right there for map number 3.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did not see that coming. Like, in my mind, I was just waiting for him to go down. I did not see Hate clutching that one and taking that game away because he was up against 3 fair players. But he managed to get that winner chicken dinner for his team, grab a whole lot more points. So he grabbed an extra 3 kills and an extra 3 points on that placement point. His teammates, you guys go buy him a beer, man. You guys go buy him a beer because he didn't just capture that winner chicken dinner. He did it in a really, really tough spot. So GG's to the guys from Zero Tolerance, capping that one with 9 kills and getting that winner chicken dinner.
Oh, 9 kills apiece. What an absolute insane way to finish things off. I was hoping for that. That's what I was been waiting for. That's a good way to get our first insane clutch for the season, I think. I don't think we've had a clutch like that this season just yet.
No, I think that definitely was the first of season 4 and coming through with an absolute bang. I mean, Zero Tolerance going to be what breaks the pattern from tonight. And actually taking a look at the predictions we saw on Instagram, right? We had actually most of our predictions going to Zero Tolerance, and it came through in clutch. I mean, shout out to Nikhil, what else here? Maha, NDC, for Young K2. I mean, all of them were shouting at Zero Tolerance, and it came through. So I'm telling you, maybe these predictions on Instagram are a little bit closer to the truth than we are today, because that was just insane. That was a 1v3 clutch, 1v4 clutch.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it was actually a
1v3.
1v4 because he actually had to win the 1v1 against the other lone wolf before he fought 3. So it's a 1v4 that this guy just straight up clutched to get that job.
Okay. Don't get me wrong, that is what we love to see. I mean, just the solo players coming through in absolute clutch moments like that for Zero Tolerance to take that final W of the day. And of course, that means they're picking up points like it's nobody's business today. My goodness gracious. I mean, Fire, what did you think about that one?
Man, I didn't expect it. I was totally surprised. My mind was blown away. I mean, at some point, I was just waiting for it. When the first player from Fear pushed up, I was like, okay, it's now. And the second one did. I was like, okay, definitely. The last player is going to get that kill, right? And then he went down. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, it's always lovely, especially when it does mean them getting.
Today has been an insane day for PUBG Mobile coming through. I mean, our expectations were absolutely blown out of the water today. Patchy, I can't even believe it. I'm gonna shush for the time being. If you would please take us through the standings from that last game of today.
For sure. We just have to give the props over to Zero Tolerance, clutching out that chicken dinner, placing 9 kills in their pockets for a total of 24 points for that game, coming in and showing us what they're made of, certainly. Fear coming in second place with 21 points there. Immortalz in third place with 19. The Rila Insider coming in fourth place with 15 points. Lag Esports in fifth with 11 points there. Aphelion Apex in sixth position with 7 points. ATROX in 7 with 4. Influence Rage coming in eighth position with 3. So certainly those top 3-4 teams just picking up an insane number of points for themselves, an insane number of kills as well. Really just choking everyone else out. Of course, moving on into that second page, we're going to have a look at the rest of these teams that came in. That was an insane match, I have to say, and I think definitely a lot of the kills happened in towards the end, but of course Ultra 6 in position number 9, Young Thunder in position number 10, Rain from Hell in position number 11, and 7 Sins Art of Killing in 12th position, all with 2 points each. Comfy 6 in 13th with 1 point, of course Slime 4KT with 1 in 14, C Sport with 1 in 15, and Toxic in 16 with 0. And of course, that's a very interesting set of placements. I mean, C, 4KT, 7 AOK. I mean, these are the teams that have been, taking some serious kills, taking some serious chickens, and doing well in the last 2 games. And now we see them all the way towards the bottom of the leaderboard, not really where we expect of them. So this really has been a day of expectations being just tossed out the window and into the trash can, and everything is just chaos. We see some amazing clutches coming out there. I want to see more of those because that was just nuts. In fact, I think after this, I'm going to go rewatch that and just to see and enjoy all of that all over again, because that was just some really nice, gun work, actually. Coming off the back of that. So, of course, we'll take a look at our overall leaderboard. It is G3 Temper still sitting in pole position at the moment, position number 1 with 105 points, but they are now being followed quite closely by Rila Insider with 91 points there in second place. Zero Tolerance getting themselves a nice injection of points and going all the way up to position number 3 with 85 points, followed closely by KHK in fourth position with 81 points there. CE Sport continuing to keep their position up on that first page in fifth position with 78 points. Slime 4KT also here in sixth with 70. Influence Rage there with 65 points in 7th position, and Team Somalia in 8th with 63. So you can see that 4KT, CE Sports, Influence Rage, they're still there on the first page, but Zero Tolerance are really jetting themselves, and really Inside as well, jetting themselves up in towards the top of that first page. Of course, moving on to the second page, it's going to be the Sidemen in position number 9 with 55 points, 7 AOK with 54, followed very closely in 10. And of course, Aphelion Apex also close on their tail with 53 in 11. Black Clover in 12 with 50 points. The Magicians in 13th position with 48, as well as Lag Esports with 48 in 14th position. Fear in 15 with 44. Solar Esport with 42 points in 16th place, of course. Now, moving on to the third page, of course, these teams are still relatively safe, but they do want to be picking up the pace just a little bit. Is the Immortalz in 17 with 41. Then we've got Infinity AF and the Natural Killers with 33 points apiece in 18 and 19 respectively. We've got Young Thunder in 20 with 28, as well as Ultra 6 with 28 points in 21. BBC with 28 in 22. We've got Black Crystal in 23rd position with 23 points. Sincerity in 24th with 23 points as well. And then, of course, moving on to that danger page, the hot seat, as it were, that being the final page of the overall leaderboard. It is definitely not a position that you want to be in for very long. So, just light the fire underneath the seats and try and just get them to jump out and jump up the leaderboard just a little bit. And basically off the back of that, it has been quite an eventful day, to say the least. Rain from Hell in 25th position with 22. ATROX with 22 as well in 26. We've got XO Redefined in 27. Toxic Esport in 28. We've got Team Unique in 29. Comfy 6 not able to really rectify their position for the time being in 30. Of course, Rainbow 6, Madagascar heading up 31st position. So yeah, what a day it has been. Very chaotic, unpredictable to say the least, and quite satisfying to end things off.
Whew, you cannot believe the performances that these teams were putting on tonight. It was out of this world, man. I'm telling you, I can't believe that we saw the teams, firstly that we saw basically a 1v4 clutch. That in and of itself, I don't even know how to explain. I checked it back now on the stream, and he was down to just below, half HP, just crouching there on the corner there of that ridge line, trying to dodge and weave and still firing off shots and taking knocks. And man, you can't believe it. But also the fact that we had such a vibrant group come through with such a competitive spirit. We had teams coming out of the woodworks that we weren't expecting. I mean, again, we were waiting for 4KT. We were waiting for Seven Sins Art of Killing to come, out on top. And that wasn't what we had. Instead, we had teams like Zero Tolerance. We had teams like so many others that we weren't expecting, just absolutely doing their best tonight. And Fire, I mean, obviously, a lot of Inkosi teams coming through and a lot of Umzansi teams coming through. And ultimately, it just makes a completely new experience. What are your thoughts been about this so far?
My thoughts are it's not just even the inconstant teams. A lot of the teams who were deemed to be average below the top guys like 4KT and the rest, are now stepping it up, because with inconstant teams coming up, it's giving them a lot more belief that we can do this, we can take on these guys, because the inconstant teams are coming with this new fire. Like, they don't respect anybody. They're just gonna pop up to where you are and take on those fights. And the rest of the guys who were a bit with less confidence are now looking at them and say, hey, you know what, we could take on this fight too. We could battle them. And I mean, if they see guys like C, KHK battling 4KT, they're like, we can do it too. And that's what we're seeing from a lot of these teams. We're seeing Zero Tolerance, Lag, and all these guys. Saying, hey, you know what, we can battle these guys too. We can take out INF. We can take out 4KT. We can take out Fear, and we can get those winning chicken dinners with the clutch. So that's coming out really great for these teams, and yeah, you love to see it.
Patrick, I'm going to ask you for a little bit of analysis. What do you think were some of the main reasons we saw, teams coming out of the woodworks that aren't the usual teams we'd be looking at for, that rate of success coming out today, and actually being the teams that we're just going crazy about?
Well, I think that there's a lot of factors. One of them, I definitely have to agree with Fire in there. It's definitely a lot of teams sort of getting a bit of confidence, realizing that they can take the fights and they can go for it. And I think that's a lot of the game. I think that's a lot of what holds some teams back, is that they don't think they can take it because they see maybe a team like 4KT and they're like, wow, 4KT, I mean, they're doing so well in PMC and they're doing so well here and in all these tournaments, and oh look, they took season 3, maybe we can't fight them, maybe we should do something else. And now they're getting a little bit of confidence, saying, okay, well, we can actually take this fight, let's see how well we can do this. And they're coming out a little bit better than they thought they could. And I think also maybe a lot of the teams not really on top of the game today, maybe just feeling a little bit under the weather. Who knows? Maybe they're just chilling. It is a public holiday down here, so maybe they're having a good time. Who knows? There's so many reasons. Of course, your MVP coming up, it's Hades. He just did an absolute madness. It has to be Hades. There's literally no question. I mean, we saw this man do absolute work for the team. 5 kills, 882 points of damage, 24 minutes, 33 seconds of survival time. And I do think that the team's also feeling the water now. One of the things is I came into this set of games today thinking that we were going to see some dominance coming out of the top teams, but I really was surprised. There's a lot of teams that have decided to step it up. Now, of course, it's still early days. It's not the end of the world, and I do think that we're going to see teams stepping it up later on in the season as it progresses, because, of course, the teams are not really aiming to be the absolute best right now. This is the long distance run of the season. This is where they just need to get through. They don't necessarily need to take the win, because as we move on from round to round, obviously things will pick up. And we've literally seen evidence of that with 4KT themselves in the previous season. If you don't know what happened in season 3, 4KT literally did nothing because they were busy for most of the season. Suddenly they were finished with the other tournaments that they were doing. They came on in and they were like, all right, time to perform. And they shot literally from last position all the way to the top of the leaderboard. So, that is just madness. And certainly if they're capable of something like that, they've got so much more to offer. So this is not the full performance, certainly, that we can expect from 4KT. So I expect them to step it up, for the rest. But certainly the other teams that maybe come from Inkosi and the teams that we don't expect to step it up have definitely showed us that they are capable of doing so.
Thank you, Analyst Pat. I do appreciate the information. And for those of you watching at home, absolutely listen to what he's just said. You cannot put any expectations too concrete at this moment in time. There's a lot of teams here. There's a lot of players here with some absolutely insane talent, because this is the Umzansi Esports League Season 4, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. And we are going to say good night for the time being. We will see you tomorrow at the exact same place, the exact same time, with some more beautiful PUBG mobile action. And of course, thank you to our casters and our production team for just doing their absolute best. Thank you to the players. Thank you to our viewers. We'll see you tomorrow. See you then.